Two screens, two different views. That's what we're all about. Dual Screen Radio, where listening is good.
Hello, folks. This is Shane R. Monroe with Dual Screen Radio.
This is Chris Hetschel, and we're back again for show number 3. Sorry for the slight delay there. We're kind of a little under the weather on one side of the half.
That would be my side.
But here we are. We're all set. We're ready to go. We got a lot to talk about. So let's just get this thing going. For starters, we're going to start off with what we're going to be discussing in this episode. We're going to discuss the DS Lite a little bit. A lot of stuff's been coming out about the DS Lite. I think it's interesting. It's very important to talk about it. And everybody wants to know what's going on with it, although I'm sure everybody knows about it by now. But we're going to have our 2 cents worth.
Yeah, we're going to give you our custom look.
Yes, that's the important thing.
That's right.
I mean, this is what everybody's been waiting for. Yes.
Everything hinges on what we say, obviously.
Now we're going to have coming up from there, we're going to have a review of Resident Evil Deadly Silence.
Oh, it's not Deadly Strike, the Resident Evil bowling game.
Yeah.
That's funny. There's another story about that. We'll tell you about that in the review.
Deadly Silence. I don't know if everybody's been keeping up, but it's yet another name for a game with the words DS incorporated into the title.
Yeah, it seems like a lot
Silence DS. Okay. We got some coming attractions, which we're going to cover the games which are going to be coming out in the next few weeks, and a couple that you may have missed, which are currently available now, but we're going to just do a quick retread. And then, of course, at the end, we're going to have our new segment, Touch and Go. And we may be able to throw a few other little things in there while we're at it. We'll see how it goes. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, and as a bonus, I'm going to give you some information on what's going on the website. A lot of people have written in asking for features. Well, we're delivering, and I'm going to tell you all about that as we close the show. So,
yeah,
what a full show. We got so much stuff to talk about.
Lots of stuff. Actually, there's some stuff that I would love to talk about, but I'm going to have to put that in the next episode, which I think a lot of people are going to be interested to hear about. I know we've gotten a lot of responses, and people want to hear certain things, and we're going to try to keep up with what people want to hear and incorporate some new ideas. And one of the things I wanted to talk about, I just don't think we're going to have time for that. Hopefully I can wedge it in next show.
Yeah, tons of stuff to talk about. Absolutely a giant packed show. But first up, let's talk about the Nintendo DS Lite, which many people have condemned on one hand, saying, can't Nintendo just one-time release one version of a piece of hardware instead of double-dipping us? And I've got some thoughts on that. And then other people are saying, well, this is it. I mean, everyone's just scrambling to get to the DS Lite, and it explains a lot of reasons why maybe Japan ran out of the original DS. That's because they were short supplying it, getting ready for the DS Lite.
Yep.
So, but we've scoured the internet looking for information. We're going to give you our 2 cents on it. We've kind of got it broken down into 3 parts: the good, the bad, and about the power stuff. Everybody wants to know about how the power affects the DSs in terms of how long will it last, how long does it take to recharge, can I use my old stuff with it? So we got all that to talk about too.
Yeah, it's not just a cosmetic change, that's for sure. There's a lot of little details that are going to be changing, and it's going to be important to know these things. I mean, just like Shane said, I mean, you're not going to be able to just plug in your old SP or DS adapter anymore.
That's pretty creepy. But before we get into the power stuff, let's talk about what makes this a cool thing, or what makes this a good thing. On the front side, we've got it's lighter and smaller, 40% smaller, 20% lighter. The DS, to me, and Chris, voice in on this, I didn't find the original DS1 too big or too heavy.
No, not at all. I honestly like the size of it. My only complaint, and I mentioned this in the first show, was I thought the buttons were a little small. And considering the other handhelds Nintendo's brought out, the Game Boys, the buttons seem to be the smallest of all of the handheld devices they put out. And I'm looking forward to the fact that these might actually be a little bigger. And they're supposed to be a little squishier, from what I've read lately. People who've actually tried the demo unit in Japan, I've been reading that the buttons are actually a little squishier and a little more fluid than the clickiness of what we're getting now. Really, that was my really only big complaint about it. I actually thought the size was pretty comfortable myself. Personally, I'd rather have something just a little bigger than a little smaller. Your hands aren't going to cramp up as much.
Absolutely, and I heard tons of people some of the people on our forums, actually, who were bitching and whining when the Game Boy SP came out because they said it was so small it was cramping their hands all the time.
Yeah.
And these are the same people that are saying, oh, the DS is too big. It's like, what the hell do you want, people?
I think especially the shoulder buttons. The shoulder buttons were, I mean, especially if you got these long fingers or piano fingers. I mean, you got these long, narrow fingers, and you're an adult. You know, you're going to have bigger. I mean, it might be good for a little kid, which I guess is. I don't think they're really going for the little kids. They're going for everybody.
Yeah, see, that was the first thing I thought too. Is like, well, maybe they're making this smaller for kids, and it's going. But you know what? It's like, 8 out of the top 10 games in Japan are DS games. They know they can't be doing that stuff anymore. I don't know. Right. What do I know?
Right.
But it does come in 3 colors. This is, of course, for some stupid reason, this seems to be very important to everybody. And I'll be honest, I didn't have a problem with the platinum. I mean, my wife has a the electric blue DS. We have
I like the platinum.
Yeah, I like the platinum. It's like we have a teal, we have a red, we have a platinum, 2 platinums, and we have the electric blue.
We got pink too.
Oh, I don't have the pink. I was saying what I actually had.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
And, the teal's cool. My kid just loves the teal. It's just like the bee's knees for her. But the platinum, I like the red. But, it's not like if I went shopping, if they didn't have the color I wanted, I wouldn't leave with one.
Right.
You know? But for some reason, Generation iPod just has this thing that if it's not exactly the color they want, it's like it's an accessory. Dude, it's a video game system.
Yeah, well, a little color would look good around my neck.
Yeah, it's like, shut up. I don't know. People just annoy the crap out of me. Well, it has to match my ensemble. It's got to match my clutch. Whatever. Anyway.
Well, this thing certainly has that shiny, kind of glossy look to it. I mean, the whole outside of the thing has got that iPod sheen, so to speak.
Well, yeah, let me say something on that, though, real quick. I meant to mention it earlier, but people say, oh, it looks like an iPod. It's like, it doesn't look like an iPod. You know what it looks like? It looks like the Revolution controller. Yep, They're trying to tie the DS to the Revolution. If it looked like an iPod, I would be screaming because I hate iPods. But the point of the matter is they're trying to match the product. And the buttons, if you look at the buttons on the new DS Lite, they look exactly like the buttons that are on the Revolution controller.
Yep.
So, sim it down. It's not an iPod-looking thing. It is trying to match the Revolution. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Well, I think everybody sees white and they scream iPod.
Yeah, that's just it's so sad. Not only have they managed to make the term iPod synonymous with MP3 player, now they're managing to make any product that's white synonymous with the iPod. Yeah. And if nothing else, that drives me crazy.
Well, the same thing happened with the white PSP in Japan. Everybody's scrambling to get that white PSP because it matches their iPod. It seems a little crazy. I personally like the black.
I just want to throw a rope around my neck and kick the chair out sometimes. But anyway, why don't you tell them what colors are going to be available on the
obviously we're having the aforementioned crystal white. We're going to have the ice blue, which is actually kind of reminds me of the teal.
It looks a lot like the teal.
Yeah, that's good for the ladies. And then we have the enamel navy, which, from what I understand, a lot of people, when they first saw the screenshots of that thing, were saying, wow, they finally did it. A black DS.
It's not black.
Well, it's not black. And the thing is, there is a black already in Japan, but I guess everybody was going crazy, like, oh, it's release day. It's going to be a black DS Lite. But it's not. It's enamel navy. And from what I understand, though, people from distances are saying that it looks like a black DS. It depends on the lighting. Yeah. It changes all different hues and shades. But I don't know. I mean, I think the navy might be the coolest of the 3 colors.
It does look pretty cool. I like the darker colors, too. But as I mentioned before, Crystal White's the first one that's coming out. And I actually ordered one as an import just so that we can give you a first hands-on look.
Dual screen radio exclusive, folks.
Exclusive.
Yes.
No, actually not probably an exclusive. People are having these already. But we're going to give you the first realistic look from our point of view as to what
the important thing.
Yeah, of course. As we said before, who cares what anybody else thinks, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So,
to
me, the enamel navy, nice. The enamel navy looked like a cross between black and electric blue, sort of somewhere in between the two. And
now, one other thing about the navy, real quick, before we move on, is one thing I noticed right away. I saw pictures of all these. Actually, the ice blue one, I haven't seen too many pictures of, but I did manage to see some enamel navy ones. And the one thing that really struck me, and the one thing I think I really like about it, is it really brings out the vibrancy of the screen.
Yes, it does.
The contrast of the bright white screen over the shell of the DS. It's a darker shell, and it really blows you away looking at it from a darker shell. It's just right there in your face more than the white, where it kind of blends in a little bit, and it seems to be a little more diffused, so to speak.
It does. It does.
And that's the other thing. It's got brighter screens, and that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to, actually. Between that and the controls, those are the two big things for me, the screens and the controls.
I don't know if any of you guys out there have noticed it. If you go down to Fry's Electronics, or there's a couple places that have these demo units of the DS right next to the new GBA SP with the brighter screens. Looking at the DS, which originally looked so much better than the original SP, it was like getting a new unit. But now you look at the DS next to the new brighter SP, and it's like a slap in your face. It's like
it kills you.
It really just kills me. And I'll tell you. The deciding factor for me with ordering a DS Lite was not that it was smaller, not that it was lighter, not that it had different controls, because I don't mind the DS controls, unlike Chris, but I didn't care that it was sexy looking. I didn't think it needed to accessorize my iPod, but I felt that those screens. Just today, in fact, I was at a party, an after martial art party that we have every quarter, and we were sitting outside under a tree in the shade trying to throw down some Mario Kart. And I was thinking to myself, I can't see. I can't see the screen. But I was thinking, the DS Lite, I'm going to be able to see the screen outside in the shade.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking, it can't ship fast enough as far as I'm concerned.
Dude, the screens on those things, one guy pointed out that from the screenshots of the thing that people were taking with their cameras at the demo units in Japan, they had a picture of, Super Princess Peach. And it's amazing. Even at an angle, the thing was bright as can be.
I love that.
The guy commented that it almost looked like somebody took a couple pictures from the internet and printed them out on laser jet printer and paper and just shoved them right on the screen. It's really amazing. It's like a little TV screen in terms of brightness. It's awesome. It brings it that much closer to what the awesomeness of the PSP screen too.
Yeah, I'm totally stoked.
And what's funny is, all this time, people have been unable to play a Game Boy, without some kind of light. And what's funny is now we're in the opposite. We need, preferably, it's better to have a dark environment.
That's awesome, dude. I never even thought about that.
Isn't it crazy? The thing is, it's always better, I think, to have the brightness. It's going to be darker more than anything, I think. Especially when you're in bed at night or something.
Yeah.
But I know when I first got my Game Boy Advance, the very first one, I was dying to find the best kind of light source possible to play some of those early games, especially Castlevania. It was just practically unplayable. It was so dark unless you had some sun. And now here we are screaming at the sun because we can't see our DS screen. So it's total opposite end of the spectrum there.
Well, it does bring up a good point, too, is there will be levels of brightness, just like the PSP. You will be able to tailor your lighting experience on the DS based on where you're at. So if you are out in the sun, perhaps it's better you can turn it off. Or, if you're in various lighting conditions, you'll be able to choose from, 4 levels of brightness to suit your environment. And, of course, that will dictate battery life. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes as well.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? That you point that out. From what I understand, the new SPs with those nice brighter screens, you cannot turn those backlights off.
Really? I did not know that.
As far as I know, they just do not turn off.
I'm sure somebody will write in and correct us if we're wrong.
From what I understand, you can't. I don't have one. I see no point in it because the DS works fine for me, but that's just one of the things I've heard. And so I don't know if that's going to actually transfer over to this DS Lite, and we may not be able to turn the backlight off.
Maybe you just have the lowest level of light. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Now, the thing is, what's funny is on the DS, in order to turn a backlight off, you actually have to switch it right there from the menu at the bottom. You get that little sun icon. I think that is the dumbest thing in the world.
That's kind of gay.
It doesn't make any sense to me because if you are playing the thing and it's dark, how are you going to see to turn it back on?
That's true. That's exactly right.
I was like, wait a minute. I turned this off. I'm like, oh, no, wait a minute. I can't see it to turn it back on now because you got to tap on it.
It's funny. Even there are some games that actually let you turn it on and off, but you're right back in the same scenario.
Right, exactly. That's when it's bad. That's when it's bad to do it. I think the True Swing Golf has it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's a few games that have it, but you got to wonder if somebody was asleep at the quality control switch over at Nintendo. It's like, hey, that'll be cool. They can just turn it on and off from the menu. It's like, okay, if you guys say so. But anyway, the other, we kind of talked about how it's got that more silky kind of look. And one of the things, and this sounds really goofy, and this is like the absolute lowest possible thing I could drudge up to talk about with the DS Lite, is, on the DS, if you don't have like a Game Boy Advance cartridge plugged into that hole, you've got this big gaping slot open at the bottom. And for some reason, when your hands are around it and your finger like kind of rubs the edge of it, and you can kind of stick your finger in the hole. I don't know about anybody else, but that drives me bonkers. So regardless, no matter what, my DS always has a Game Boy Advance card in it.
Yeah, I like to do that myself. I agree with you there. I always have something in it. I don't care what it is as long as it's in there.
Got to have something. Well, I guess Nintendo figured that out. The guy that was asleep when they decided on how to turn the lighting on and off, he was awake when they said, hey, there's a hole in the bottom of this thing. So they're actually going to ship a fake cartridge, like a little plastic cover that looks like a little Game Boy Advance cartridge that you can slide into this guy as a dust cover to kind of keep things out of that thing when you don't have a Game Boy.
It's going to have that sexy white glaze to it, I'm sure.
That'll be sexy and silky and shiny.
As long as it matches my iPod.
As long as it matches the iPod, we're good to go. So that's kind of the good overview. Did you have anything else on that, Chris, that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think we covered it pretty good. I mean, it's obvious that they're trying to go for like an integration with the Revolution. They're trying to get it a little bit ahead of that, to make sure everything's in check. And a lot of people were wondering, well, how would they release this now? I mean, in the height of its popularity. I mean, in Japan, the thing was selling out like crazy. And although people are saying the reason it's selling out is because obviously they're not shipping as many, and they're thinking maybe it's because they're moving these in. But I don't know. I mean, I guess it's better to do it now while it's popular, And I mean, because later on when it comes out, who's going to buy them? I mean, people, if they already have the DS, they're going to probably say, well, I already have one, not buy it, unless you're crazy like us,
Yeah, and a lot of people are like, well, Nintendo are playing to the non-gamers, and we've talked about this at length, that Nintendo is going for the non-gamers, so they're trying to shape the aesthetics, like with the Game Boy Micro. They're trying to make it a sexy unit.
Hip.
Make it hip in order for the Generation X kids to want to have one in front of them. But in all honesty, it's not stopping people from buying these things. These things have shipped, double-digit numbers of units, and they're selling out like mad. Even with the DS Lite looming in the distance, people are still buying the old ones because they don't want to wait for the Lite. Right. So I don't think that sex appeal is exactly what Nintendo was after. I'm sure it's a nice bonus, but I really think that they're going for that Revolution tie-in, and the iPod generation segue of that is actually just a bonus. So.
Yeah, the cool factor.
Yeah, who knows? But, okay, well, not every story can be great. There's got to be something about the DS Lite that will not appeal to people. Chris, why don't you take this one?
Right off the start, it looks like the cartridges for the Game Boy Advance are going to be sticking out a little more. I don't know if that's a real big issue, but it's there. I mean, it's going to be an extra centimeter, it looks like. So if you're going to have this thing in your pocket, you may get caught on the edge of your cartridge.
Yeah, and a lot of people have, like,
it's not going to be flush like it is now.
Well, yeah, and it's not like you've got WarioWare Twisted plugged into it. It's not like, you've got a gyro unit sticking out of the bottom.
Yeah.
So I don't think that'll bug people too much.
Nah, it's a little nitpick, but it's there. And, I guess what's nice is that they included that dust cover because I actually don't play too many Game Boy Advance cards these days. I mean, if anything, I if I do play them, they're in there, but it's nice that they have that dust cover for that reason. I mean, I won't have to just stick one in there just to keep the dust out, especially if it's going to stick out another centimeter.
Yeah, and it's not like, in the early days when the lack of DS software was forcing you to run to Game Boy Advance games to keep you interested. I mean, there's so many games now. I'm totally behind in playing DS games because there's just too many great games to play.
Yeah, I can't keep up, especially this month.
So I don't think the GBA games are going to need to be in there need to be there very much anyway. But again, journalistically responsible, we need to tell you that they are going to stick out that 1 centimeter.
Yes, knowledge is power, especially when it turns to that 1 centimeter.
That's right, and if you can't live with that, well, whatever. Of course, there is going to be a price change. From what we're hearing, it's about $15 more than the original. So I'm guessing you're going to probably see it about the $139, $149 price point.
I'm guessing $149.
Yeah.
I'm guessing $149. And you know, the funny thing is, earlier in the month, I'd actually read or saw a rumor from a couple places that suggested that the DS Lite by Christmas time, you know, the thing's going to be $150, and they're actually going to have the DS as we know it now in the $99.99 range. You know, and I think until they phase it out, it's going to be a lower cost alternative to the DS Lite. And I guess we'll see what happens. But then again, recently it seems like that the thing may not be around as long as you think, the original DS.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there. It's, you know, it hasn't stopped Nintendo before. I mean, look what we have out there now. I mean, you got the SP, SP2, you got the Micro, you got the DS. And, you know, it's funny, even at local Toys R Us, they still sell the original Game Boy Advance.
That's crazy talk, man.
Yeah, I think it's like $29.99. So, you know, what the heck? You know, you might as well throw the DS as we know it now in there for the $99 dollar point.
I do remember reading, though, that they were going to phase it out by, I think, the end of the summer. The original DS was going to be gone. But there's always going to be stock kicking around. And you know that people are going to be whoring these things on eBay left and right.
Oh,
so yeah. So if the Lite does not meet your needs, then you're going to be able to pick up a DS, original DS. Not if you go to like GameStop, but if you go to eBay when it gets flooded, you're going to be able to pick these guys up $50, $60 bucks.
Yeah, but you know what? Then again, a lot of people are probably on the fence that don't want to jump on the DS, and they're going to see those and say, you know what? I'm going to grab one now for $100. I don't really care about all these little extra DS Lite features.
Yeah.
So you still got that market, you know. But yeah, you're going to be dumping them on, dumping your old one on eBay like a wife, I guess, when you found a new girlfriend. And they got this new thinner model out, you know. It's like
thinner, sexier
sorry,
model,
honey,
man.
you're going to have to go. Yeah.
Only you can bring marriage into the Nintendo DS spectrum. That's great. You want to go on to some of the other notes that we got here?
We have a couple other things here that are in the bad segment. And the material durability of the thing. It looks like it's just asking to be scratched left and right from the outside. I don't really know what kind of material they're using. If it's anything like the iPod Nano, I hope it's not. You know, looking at that thing wrong will give it a nice big scratch. And hopefully that's not going to be in the play with this. I don't know what kind of material they're using. It does look nice and shiny and glossy, which leads me to believe it's going to be nice and shiny and easy to scratch. So
it does have that cheap plastic look, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and that kind of worries me. You know, the only thing that gives me any saving grace to this is I thought the exact same thing when I saw the Game Boy Micro. I thought, oh man, I bet that thing's like fragile as hell. But then I actually put my hands on one.
Oh, it's pretty durable.
It's solid. I mean, that is a solid unit.
The back of it's like what, aluminum or something?
Yeah, it's just like this is cool. This is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So, you know, Nintendo has never turned out a console or handheld that that was like made out of origami. So I'm not, I'm not overly worried about that.
Plus, you know, the other thing is the inside of this thing. I don't know if you've noticed from the screenshots. The actual inside of this thing is actually a flat plastic. It is not glossy at all. It's only on the outside that's glossy.
Yeah, because that glossy stuff, I don't think that'd be good to have your paws on it all the time. But who knows?
No.
Like, again, you know, and we're going to let you know, folks. Don't worry. When we get the DS Lite in-house here, we're going to give you the full meal rundown. I'll tell you whether it's cheap or not. I'm not going to lie to you.
Definitely. Yeah, it's Shane's money on the line here, folks.
It's my money on the line, so I'll let you know. And, for those of you who are actually interested, it turned out that I paid $169 to import it, which if you look at what our projections are, that's $20 more than what we're going to pay for it here.
That's actually not bad.
That's not bad. I mean, imports usually are like, a factor of 2.
Yes.
And then I paid to have the fast delivery because I'm impatient, which was like $23. So I paid like $192 delivered. Now, if you look at it from this point of view, I saved tax. Right. So I saved tax on $150, which ends up being around $12. So in all honesty, I really only paid an additional $35 to have this early. So we can give you the lowdown on it and save you your hard-earned cash if it does not meet the expectations. So.
Yeah, well, we're all looking forward to hearing about that.
I can't wait. I'm totally stoked.
I do know, though, I mean, I got to say, if I was to choose the navy color, I'd probably be going ballistic because I'm so obsessive-compulsive when it turns to getting those fingerprints off my glossy material. You know, that's one of the reasons why I didn't get the black iPod Nano when I got a Nano. I mean, I would be, or even a PSP. You know, I'd be trying to wash my fingerprints off that thing every 2 seconds. It would drive me nuts seeing all those greasy fingerprints on it.
Yeah, my Game Boy, my GP2X, the little Korean handheld unit I talk about on Retro Gaming Radio all the time. That actually is the black PSP type thing. And it's a fingerprint magnet. I mean, there's no two ways about it.
So that's what's good about the white.
And
the white, what you don't know won't kill you.
That's right. The white, you're not going to see anything. But so again, it all boils down to everyone's screaming navy blue. It's like whatever. You get what you do what you want. The other thing too that we noticed, and this is only bad because I've spent a lot of money on styli. I spent a lot of money on styli, just because I've been eager to try to find the absolute perfect stylus for the DS. And so thanks to Chris actually here, I got this one made out of gunmetal.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, it's such a great. I mean, it is my primary stylus. It was $15 though. I mean, that's a lot of money to pay for a stylus. But I'll tell you what. Once you have the weight of this thing in your hand, tell him, Chris. Once you have the weight of this in your hand,
it's so easy to hold.
It's so comfortable.
You don't have this light as a feather little piece of plastic in your hand anymore. You actually have substance. It makes you want to play the games a little more accurately and be able to actually hold something that has some heft to it.
Yeah.
It's really kind of hard to explain. It's basically compare it to the DS styli that you have now that comes with the DS. Compare that to like a number 2 pencil, okay? And then go out to like Office Depot or Office Max or something and get one of those, real expensive, real weighty, heavy metal pens. Those business pens for like $65. Okay,
yeah.
That would be the Battle Stylus.
That's it.
The company's PDA Panache, PANACHE.com.
Yeah, we'll give you a link to that on the download page.
Yeah, late last year, I ended up picking one up. I saw a couple really good reviews for it. It was basically a perfect review for the thing. And, I said, hey, Shane, check this out. And next thing I know, he's buying one. So if Shane bought it, it's got to be pretty decent.
Yeah. And the nice thing about it is if you go and you buy any, like, third-party stylus for the DS, it never fits in the DS quite right.
No.
It's always a little loose. It's a little tight. I don't know why that is, but it's just the way it is.
This thing is snug.
It's perfect.
It takes a few seconds to get it out, but then I got to bite my nails, so it's a little hard.
Yeah, me too.
But it's in there. That thing is not falling.
It's not falling out. It's not loose. And I'll tell you what, it's been my favorite thing ever. In fact, I went through the whole mess. Just as a little side note here, I went through and bought some of the slightly longer ones. I bought these really cool ones. They're actually first-party stylus from Nintendo. They're telescoping.
Did you get them?
Ones. I did get those. Yeah, I did get those.
The ones from Hori, right?
Yeah.
HORI.
No, these were. I don't think these were Hori. I think these were actual first-party Nintendo ones.
I know Hori's been doing a lot of stuff for them. I know they put out the best screen protectors you can get.
Yeah, it's possible that they made it, but Nintendo.
But I have seen
it. And I'll tell you what, it's comfortable. It's comfortable to be able to have the top of the stylus lay against the crook of your finger, between your finger and your thumb. It's not real heavy duty, but it's pretty decent. But the problem is I rarely bring my man bag out with me with my DS in it. I usually just grab my DS and chuck it in my pocket. So
your DS fanny pack?
My fanny pack. I call it my clutch, my man clutch. But there's a man sack. I'm sorry, messenger bag for you gangsters. But no, I grab the unit and I stuff it in my pocket. So I really only have the option of having one stylus, and the one stylus I use is the Battle Stylus. I can't. So I literally, you open my man purse and like 1,500 styli fall out of it. But I've tried them all, and the Battle one is the only one that I'm really happy with. Unfortunately,
it's a great little thing.
And now let's get right back to where we were. Now that we've segued for 15 minutes.
It's okay. It's all good.
It's all good. Not one person's complained about how long the show is, so I think we're good. The stylus is bigger. This is really funny. They shrunk the unit. They shrunk the DS down to the DS Lite, but they made the stylus bigger. So any of your favorite styli that you have laying around that you're using for the DS ain't going to fit in the DS Lite. Now, all we can hope for is that the gun battle metal version that we have and all the other people that are using stylus that are perfect for them, they will get a DS Lite port of their stylus.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening.
Yeah, and I'm going to write to those guys, too, the PDA people. I'm going to write to them and say, hey,
I want to upgrade.
And I'll pay the $15 again. I like it that much. I like it that much. So that's the other little gotcha that you have to worry about that's not related to power, which has its own category altogether. But your stylus is going to be bigger. Now, that's actually kind of a good thing because, let's face it, the DS stylus is just a tad too small.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And
it's a little too light. And I don't know about you, but for me, that thing just pops out way too easy, too.
Yeah, the original one does. I really like the battle one.
The battle one is perfect.
Does not fall out.
I'd rather it be just a little tight. Actually, it's amazing how nice they have that in there.
It really is. And my kid's lost like 5 stylus since she's gotten hers. I have not lost a single one since I got my battle one. So.
And of course, you have to have the official Nintendo stylus, too.
The official Nintendo.
Those Pelican ones just won't do.
Yeah, they don't work.
Now, real quick, just to mention that battle stylus, I think the only downfall I see with that thing is, and I speak from experience, it does take a while for you to get used to that weight. I mean, there's times where I've poked at the screen that normally would have been a nice light touch, where if you transfer to the battle stylus, you're basically putting your stylus through the screen. You got to be careful.
That's what screen protectors are for, folks. If there's a living need for screen protectors, it's having a battle stylus.
Yeah, it's a little hefty. You got to get used to it.
But I love it. I can't play without it.
So anyway, moving on here. Let's bring up some of the power issues there. Well, not really issues, but it's an update on what the power is going to be. It's going to be some differences there from what we know now from the DS, especially the connection. The connection right off the bat is going to be a totally different connection. We've seen the pictures. The port is not the same. So throw your Game Boy SP and DS adapters out. They will not be working with the DS Lite.
And if you took my advice from earlier, before we started doing this show, I was really pimping this Pelican battery replacement and charger. And if you search through our forums, you'll find where there's pictures and stuff of this. Basically, this was a replacement battery and case on the DS. You could actually take that. You know how the back where the battery compartment is, you have to unscrew that to get to the battery because they never really planned on you changing this battery out because it's rechargeable, right? What's the point?
Right.
But a lot of times you're on a trip, you don't have power, you want to throw in a new battery, so you can replace the battery compartment with something that you can open with your fingers, and you can actually get a replacement battery, and they give you a little charger.
It's really ingenious how they did that.
It's a brilliant thing. It's $15 at Best Buy. That's where I've picked up all of mine.
I've got mine for $9.99 at GameStop.
There you go.
If you're going to grab them while you can.
Grab them while you can.
Rarely see more than 2 or 3 of them at once.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so the idea is that you could have a battery in reserve, a battery in the charger, or, whatever you wanted to do, and you'd be able to replace that battery at a whim. Well, with the DS Lite, all of this, the $9 you invested, goes away, and you won't be able to use this replacement battery or this kit, which interfaces with your original Game Boy Advance or DS power.
Yeah, it's like a pass-through, basically.
It's like a pass-through.
You can have your battery charging, but it also comes. I mean, the little battery charger itself actually plugs into the adapter of the DS. It's great. Now, but in the meantime, it comes with an additional wire that this charger comes with. There's an additional wire.
Yeah.
You plug that into the charger, into your DS, and not only are you charging the spare battery, but you're also charging the battery in the DS.
Yeah, it's
so
brilliant. It's a brilliant piece of work.
It's really neat, and I actually never really put much thought into it. Pelican's kind of not the best company in the world as far as I can tell, but I got to tell you, this thing's great. Shane really talked me into buying this thing a few months ago. I've actually bought 2 of them.
Yeah, he was resistant. Don't trust me.
Yeah.
He was resistant.
I said, wait a minute. Why would I need to get this? I mean, I'm not going to be playing this thing so much. Well, now I'm wrong, because there's going to be times in there where I may have not charged it the night before, where I've gotten maybe a half hour of game time, and I'm saying, oh my God, my battery's running out. Well, what do? Run in, flip them, done. Back to gameplay.
It's great.
It's great.
But really unfortunately, you're out of luck with the DS Lite. You will not be able to use that product. And I'm hoping I will write Pelican personally and say, please, please make one of these for the DS Lite because I can't live without these things. Literally, my man purse, my clutch.
I wish to give you money. You must make this.
Yes, you must make this. I need to give you my money. I've got like 4 batteries in my man purse. I took my man purse today to the party, and I was digging through it looking for a cartridge or something, and I'm like, I got 4 freaking batteries in here. Don't want to be without my DS. What can I tell you? So that's the other thing. Let's talk about the battery life. Now, this is the cool part. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking brighter screens equals less batteries. And
suck.
Yeah, we all know about the days of the old Atari Lynx when you had to carry 25D batteries on your waist in order to power.
Hey man,
this
that
guy.
was 1 hour of playtime, dude. That
you know what, though?
was an investment.
You know what though? I think it was funny because the batteries that if you just put like 6 AA's, that's what the Atari Lynx took.
Yeah.
We have so evolved. If you put 6 batteries, AA batteries into the Atari Lynx, you get about 2.5 hours of play. But if you bought this D-Pack, literally, this is so awesome. I've got to basically take a proton pack from Ghostbusters. Remember the proton packs that they wore? That was what you had to wear to get any sort of life out of the Atari Lynx. It had 6 D batteries, D size. I mean, the big ones, and it was on a belt clippable. Like proton pack. I mean, that's
I remember that thing.
And you hooked it to your waist, and you plugged it into the power input on the Atari Lynx. And I'll tell you what though, in the defense of that unit, it looked horrible, and you looked like Batman, whatever. But I'll tell you what, I got like 27 hours of playtime off of those things. I mean, literally, I went a whole year playing my Atari Lynx several times a week. I went a whole year without ever changing the batteries.
And you know what's funny is, I think back then, not to stray too much here from the subject, but that was the one thing that those little handhelds were fighting against. I mean, the screen, the type of screen, the brightness, the technology overall of the screen, and a good, efficient way to supply power to the thing.
Yeah.
Those are the two big problems that handhelds were facing at the time. And, especially something like the Lynx. That thing was hardcore technology then.
It was beautiful, and that screen was amazing. I still have my Lynx.
It's excellent. Same here, and it's great. It's just amazing screen, and it's great that we're seeing this now, the DS Lite, and look how far we've come in terms of the technology. I mean, you're talking 19 hours of battery life with this thing.
Can you get a handle on that? 19 hours. I can't wrap my head around that.
Now the problem is obviously you're going to be chucking down to one of those lower brightness settings, but from what I read. Of those brightness settings, I think level 2 is about what the DS is right now. If you were to go over to the DS Lite right now and put it on brightness factor 2, that's basically the equivalent level of the brightness of the current DS.
And I can use that like 80% of the time.
And you're talking, maybe, it's going to be twice as much power than the DS now at that level.
At that level, you're still talking about, 15 hours
14,
of playtime?
15, yeah, exactly.
That's insanity.
It's going to be great.
15 hours on a single charge with the brighter screens. It's a win-win scenario. Now the spectrum that we've been given, that we've seen in the documentation, is 4 to 19 hours. So I'm assuming on the highest brightness level, probably using Wi-Fi, I would assume, that you're going to be down to 4 hours on a single charge.
The Wi-Fi is a killer.
The Wi-Fi is just a battery sucker. As anybody knows who played Mario Kart, it's...
And just wait till Tetris comes out. I mean...
Oh, my God. I don't even want to get into that. Let's not talk about that yet, because I could just start talking about that forever.
No, but
That's
I mean...
That's going to be digital crack.
You're going to be stuck on that thing, and you're going to be screwed, because that game is going to be so addicting. I mean, come on. If it's anything like the old Tetris, you're going to be playing that. And if you're talking 2 hours of Wi-Fi... and you're addicted to that, you better hope that Pelican gets some kind of alternative thing out there quick.
Absolutely. But on the good side of that, on the flip side of having a little lesser charge on there, they've reduced the charge time to 3 hours over, 4 to 5 hours, I think, on the existing unit?
Yeah, it's about 3 or 4 hours, I think, right now to charge the thing, I'd say.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So they're promising us a 3-hour battery charge, and I imagine they probably managed to do that by upping the power supply into the unit. That's probably why we don't have usage of our old GBA and old DS power supplies. They probably had to up the voltage or something. I'm no electrical guy, but I imagine that based on the needs of that battery, they had to up that voltage. And so the benefit of that is, of course, it charges faster. What a deal, right? I mean, I'm not going to bitch about it charging faster. So not really a negative thing in the power side, but at the same time, now I don't get to carry around spare batteries, at least for a while.
Smaller fanny pack.
Yeah, smaller man clutch. I don't have to carry around 17 batteries.
Smaller man sack.
In any event, that's kind of what we have right now on the DS. I mean, that's the lowdown of information we have. Most of you probably knew about this stuff. I mean, it's not like the Internet's not loaded with information about this, but a lot of times, we get a different perspective of these things, and that's why we share these with you. And, of course, like I said, we're going to give you our personal viewpoints of it once we actually get a unit in-house. We're not big enough to have a Nintendo Compass a unit yet, so we have to pay for it like everybody else.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll be honest with you. I think right now, like just what we said right there, is probably more information than any of these magazines that put out right now.
You know, it's really scary about that. Even the latest Nintendo Power had a remarkably small segment on the DS Lite.
But nothing.
You know, in their defense, of course, you know, magazines have a 3-month publishing window, so they had to have written that, you know, at least 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And we know tons more now than we did then. So.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, I'm on the fence about the DS Lite, and, you know, I'm not sure if I'm going to be down for it. It's like, I was kind of that way, too, because, let's be honest, I've literally got 5 Nintendo DSs in my house. And that's really weak to say. My wife had to have her own. My kid had to have her own. I had my own, but then I wanted a red one for Christmas, so I got that. And then we saw that the teal and the pink ones were going to be a limited SKU. So when we saw the teal one in the store, we had a little extra money kicking around, so we bought that.
Yeah.
So
well,
now we got 5 of them.
I'm sure the reason you wanted that red one was just so you could put all those little stickers on it. You know?
I didn't even put the stickers on it because I'm not a sticker kind of guy. But you know what? I think the red one looks great. I'm a real big fan. I like the silver underside. And you know what's even more cool? And this is going to sound like totally gay. I'm going to start sounding like an iPod user. But
it's okay.
The underside, you know, we were talking about the Pelican battery replacement. The battery door that they give you to replace yours is black, right? Because it matches the original DS.
Right.
But when you take off the silver one off the bottom of the red DS and put this black one on there, I'm sorry, it looks really damn cool. It's got that black and gray two-tone on the bottom and then red on top. It doesn't sound like it would look cool. Trust me, it looks cool.
Okay, whatever you say.
There you go. Just smile, nod, and pretend you understand.
Nodding, yes.
Yes. So, thank you. Is there anything else, Chris, that you have on the DS Lite that you want to crank over to our homies?
No, I think we've covered it pretty good. I'm looking forward to the thing. Now, I don't know when or where or how I'm going to get it, but hopefully I'll get one eventually.
You'll get it. You'll see your pimp later this week. You'll end up getting the money. Let's move along here, folks. We have a new review for you. Now, we were really tossed, were we not, Chris, about what we were going to review this episode.
Yes.
It was a toss-up between Rub Rabbits, Feel the Magic 2, and Resident Evil Deadly Strike or Deadly.
Silence.
See, I did it too. Deadly Silence. That's crazy. I read it one time as Deadly Strike and some joke, and whatever. Deadly Silence, and I think Chris and I finally decided we were going to go to Resident Evil because so many people were.
Everybody wants to know about what is it worth it, what's going on. Everybody, we've gotten a lot of mail. That's another thing we're going to talk about, I think, later. Just we've gotten a lot of people emailing us, and
a lot.
It's really awesome. I mean, hearing from all these people from all over the world, and it really feels good to know that the people really are enjoying what they're hearing. And one of the things that we've gotten a lot of feedback on are, and even in the forums, when are you going to talk about Resident Evil Deadly Silence? I want to know, is it going to be worth buying? I've already played Resident Evil. Is it worth it? I've got the GameCube version with the upgrades, the graphics. Is it worth it buying this?
Does it work on a handheld? That's the one we got to
right.
Can you
that's
play
the
this
next
game on a handheld?
Right. I mean, what kind of atmosphere you're going to get on a handheld? So that made us lean towards reviewing this. On one hand, it's like, well, it's Resident Evil. It's an old game. It's been around. Should we review that or a sequel to a game that everybody's pretty much probably played? But the same deal situation here. But the audience has answered. That's what they want. They want Resident Evil. So here we are. We're going to deliver.
You asked for it, we delivered. That's the way it works out. Hey, speaking of sending us email, do me a favor, guys. I mean, I know this is a crazy thing to ask, and I'm violating pop culture here. Please don't call the show a podcast. This is not a podcast. We are internet radio. Podcast is some sort of a creepy, weird fad, and I don't want to be related to the term podcast. We are internet radio show.
10 years from now, there are not going to be any more podcasts.
It's not going to be called podcast. It's going to be called internet radio. Trust me on this one. I've been doing internet radio for going on 8 years now. It's been called internet radio. It's not going to be called podcasting forever. So help us out, because every time I have to put a testimonial up on the website, I have to change out podcast and put those little brackets around the word show so that I show that I'm altering what you've sent me in the testimonial. You'll see it when you go up on the new website.
Shane is very resilient about this subject.
I'm
Please
really
do not
pissy
call
about
them
the whole podcast thing. I know it shouldn't matter, but
every time you call it a podcast, a puppy dies. Okay?
Yeah, God
so,
kills a puppy in heaven every time you call our show a podcast. Just keep that in mind.
Myself, it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah,
okay.
Chris doesn't care.
I'm more laid back, but Shane is.
Yeah, I'm real anal. You know what's really funny is I don't have a lot of buttons to push. There are very few buttons on me that you can actually
Obviously,
push.
That's one of them.
But oh man, podcasting just pushes my button. Podcasting and blogs, the two of those together, just turn me into the Incredible Hulk, man. That's a David Banner.
And you forgot the third one.
Oh, do I have another one?
Well, I'm sure you would. Podcasts, blogs, and PayPal donation.
I actually don't mind the PayPal donation thing. I mean, I actually have that on some of my sites too, but it took me like 7 years to ask for PayPal donation running Retro Gaming Radio. There's a difference between putting out a quality show for over a half a decade and then saying, if you feel like throwing us a couple of bucks, here you go. People are actually asking, how do I donate money to Retro Gaming Radio? And it's like,
well, then that's cool. If there's a demand there for it, that's fine.
Okay, I'll throw a thing on there. But, you get I hear these podcasts that are apparently nothing more than an hour-long begging for money.
It's sometimes, like me and Shane, we do this, or Shane and I, we do this because we love the subject. We like the DS. We love the DS. I mean, we just love talking about it and bringing our views to it. We're not doing this to get paid necessarily. Now, little times, I guess, if we were to run out and review something, if people want to clamor for something, we could probably use the money to go buy the item to review it if we build it up, I guess. I don't know. But I hear so many of these podcasts. These people say, oh, I love this. I want to do this. I want to give something to the community. But then they turn around and they say, look, this isn't cheap to do. I need some money for this. And it's like, well, dude, first of all, the site that you're on, the blog that you're on is it's a free thing. I mean, this is the blog spot. It's free. Okay?
It's MySpace, you moron.
Right.
It doesn't cost you a dime.
That's not cost you anything. Okay. Recording the software. I mean, recording your show. I mean, there's free things out there like Audacity or even Skype, even Gtalk. I mean, all these things are free. So there's no money going there. The only thing I can think of for money in terms of any kind of monetary value would be probably the server space, the place that you're going to be loading the file.
And even then, after our first show, we had people falling over themselves to give us mirrors.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we want to be involved in the show. Can we provide you with anything? I said, yeah, give me a mirror. I need the space.
Right.
And they're like, okay, here.
The bottom line is, the bottom line is, why, I don't know. I guess it's just, it feels bad. I mean, if the person's enjoying this so much, then why do they have to ask for money for it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't get it.
How do we go from Resident Evil to bitching about podcasts? That's amazing. Let's get back to Resident Evil.
It started with the evil email, because people were demanding, not demanding, I guess, but there was a lot of talk. People wanted to hear about Resident Evil.
And we're going to tell you all about it.
So let's get going with that.
Let me give you a little background first about my experience with Resident Evil, the franchise, because it's really important to understand from our perspectives where we stand in the Resident Evil world. There are people that have Resident Evil tattoos right now. I guarantee you right now, somebody in a 100-mile radius of you listening here has a Resident Evil tattoo. Obviously, their feelings on Resident Evil DS would be different in scope than what I'm going to be able to tell you. My history with Resident Evil, I was out of the series until Resident Evil 4, and I got a GameCube. I saw Resident Evil 4. I said, I got to have that. That's awesome. So I picked it up. I've played Resident Evil 4 front to back, bonus missions, and that's it. That is my experience with Resident Evil. So I've gotten to play what is arguably the best version of Resident Evil outside of, I guess, was it Resident Evil 1 on the game, the remake for the GameCube?
I think it was just Resident Evil. I can't even keep track of them.
Resident Evil 0 or something?
I think it was Resident Evil 0, which is basically a remake of the original Resident Evil. I honestly, I'm not the expert on Resident Evil. I'm sorry to say, but I believe that's the remake, and it's basically just better graphics and controls, and I think they probably tuned a few things here. I'm not sure if they changed the dialogue or the intro. I can't really help you there, but
suffice to say,
it's been around.
My experience has been Resident Evil 4, so I don't even have the ability to say, Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation was so cool for its time, and I look back now and it's really cheesy. I don't have that experience to lend to you. So my experience is going off of this from a Resident Evil 4 fanboy who loves Resident Evil 4 but has not. I haven't even played the remake. So that's where I'm coming from. Chris, what about you?
I'm pretty much in the same boat as you. But on the other hand, I remember when I first bought my PlayStation back in, I want to say, late 96, early 90s. Yeah, it was late 96. One of the first games that I picked up, and one of the few games that was available at the time, was Resident Evil. And I remember dropping, I think, now, I know you're gonna flinch a little. I think it was like $49.99 for this game. But at the time, it looked really cool. It was all 3D, and except for, well, I guess it has CGI drawn backgrounds.
Yeah, the rendered backgrounds.
It was just an interesting looking game. I mean, I wanted something that supposedly was scary. I was like, well, I'm in for that. I'm cool with that. I haven't been scared on a video game since Friday the 13th or the Commodore 64.
Hells yeah, baby. That was great, dude.
Yeah. So, it was cool. I picked it up. I bought it. I brought it home. And, I played it for a little while, and I don't know what it was. I kind of got into it, but I kind of didn't. I think I only got about halfway through it. And I think the big problem for me at the time was the controls. I just could never get a grasp of these controls. I don't know what it was. I had a zombie coming at me, and here's my little character just kind of nimbly walking along, and I'm thinking, dude, run, run, run. And then I run, and I was like, dude, run, 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 because I wasn't really going very fast.
Yeah.
But, otherwise, I'm pretty much in the same boat as you. Resident Evil 4, I finally got to that, I guess, about maybe 5 months ago. I sat and played it. It sat on the shelf here. I borrowed it from my brother. He got it for Christmas. I just never played it. And I said, you know what? I'm not doing anything. I'm looking for a new game to play. Let me try this Resident Evil 4. I've never really been a big fan of the series. The first one just didn't rub me the right way. I really can't explain what it was.
It ain't Silent Hill.
Yeah, I just can't get into it. Anyway, I put the Resident Evil 4 in, and I'm like, my God, I'm sucked in. I could not put it down. I finished it in 2 weeks, and I think it took me 19 hours, and I didn't want it to end. I mean, the whole mechanics of it, everything about it was totally changed from what I had played on the original Resident Evil. And it was to the point where, man, I wonder if any of the other ones are anything like this. What have I missed? But from what I understand, this was a total change in direction for the series, and I think that was all I was going to get at the time. But man, was it a blast, And I guess when it comes to this review, I went and I picked up Resident Evil Deadly Silence, thinking maybe I'll enjoy this more as a portable, And also the fact that they've added some new features to it, which we'll be getting into talking about. But I'm thinking, I wonder if this will be better as a handheld. Maybe it'll grab me a little better, And I think that was one of my big prerequisites for picking the thing up. So.
Yeah, and just to give you kind of an overview, and again, we're probably covering information you already know, but I promise we'll get to some more meaty stuff. There's basically 3 modes in this game. There's the original classic translation, which is almost identical to Resident Evil 1. I'm pulling that from reviews and from other people's
It's basically
comments.
a dead-on port from the original.
Dead-on port from the original. There's a small change in controls and a couple of small elements. We're going to get to that. There's also there's a rebirth mode, which is the DS slanted version. I'm going to get to that, I promise. And then finally, there is a multiplayer mode, which is brand new to the DS, and we're going to talk about that as well. So
that's very cool.
The game really has 3 modes to play in, and they have managed, and this to me is amazing, they have managed to crunch all the cheesy dialogue, and it is cheesy, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I didn't play the original Resident Evil. I can tell you right now that the original Resident Evil was cheesy as hell. It's Night Trap all over again.
And it's the same dialogue too. And you know what's funny is my brother, who's a huge Resident Evil fan. He loves these what do they call these kind of games? The suspense.
These are survival games.
Survival.
Games,
that's it. The survival horror. I couldn't think of it.
I can't remember.
He loves these and Silent Hill, and I just can't get into it. I don't know what it is, but he loves these games, and he could not wait to get this game. And he played through the PlayStation one, but yet he still couldn't wait to get this because he hadn't played the original in so long. He just couldn't wait to hear all that cheesy dialogue. That was one of the first things he asked me. Do they have all the cheesy dialogue? Is all the cool videos in there and everything else? I said, yeah. As far as I can tell, Joel's sandwich is still in there.
Yeah, and you know what? They actually have all the video in there.
all the videos.
They compress the entire thing. And I mean, right now, nowadays it's like, oh, well, FMV, who cares?
Who cares? It's all
Dude, they put this on a freaking DS cart. Yeah. I'm totally stunned that they have room for the game and everything else that they put in here. Plus, they have all of this full motion video, all the audio dialogue, and it's all running off a cart. That's awesome. To me, I don't know. I'm a slut for that stuff, but
yeah, it's a little. They did take a little dump in terms of
it took a quality hit,
toning it down. Yeah, quality.
It's got a quality hit, but when you see this on the DS, you're going, this isn't running off a DVD or a CD. This is running off a little tiny flash cart, and it cost me $29. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let me give you I played it first of all I probably played it an hour in the original mode, and I was having a decent time with it. And I'll get into more specifics. And then I said, okay, well, to be fair, I need to try the rebirth mode so that I could talk intelligently about it on the show. I started playing it in rebirth mode, and I was much, much happier with the game in rebirth mode.
I agree.
And I'll tell you the basic difference is apparently the first one is exactly the same as the original PlayStation 1.
It's dead on.
However, I understand, though, that you always have a knife available to you.
Right.
And that's different because apparently you had to swap your knife and your pistol out.
Yeah, it was a minor thing. It was a drag. If you wanted to use your knife, you actually had to go into your inventory, select it, equip it, then come out and start slashing. And I think that's a nice little addition. It does add a little bit of a spin to the gameplay. I actually didn't realize it's actually they allowed that in the classic mode?
Yeah, the classic mode, you can have a knife all the time.
I didn't realize the knife was actually in that.
Yeah, it's in there all the time.
I never even tried using it because I wasn't used to it.
Yeah, how would you know? Right. And, of course, the other facet of the changes from the original is, of course, you have a map always on the top screen.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? I don't care how people try to play down the concept of having a persistent map on the screen. That seems to be one of the things that the DS haters love to comment. Well, that dual screen is just a gimmick because all they do is put a map on one of the screens. And it's like, well, so what? I mean, playing I would have killed to have a second screen on Silent Hill. When I was playing that, I was always going back to the map, back to the game, back to the map, back to the game, back to the map. And you just want to take a human life after that. And to be able to play this game, with the persistent map, totally made it more enjoyable. Definitely.
I remember, man, I'll tell you, I know exactly where you're coming from. I remember, I think the worst instance of that in my lifetime in terms of maps was probably the original Metroid on the NES. I mean, the kids nowadays just don't realize how easy they have it, especially with the remake of that, the Zero Mission for the GBA.
Yeah.
You have a map. I mean, every single Metroid since then, well, no, maybe not. I don't think Metroid 2 had it, but starting with Super Metroid, they've all had maps. And, the original Metroid had zero map. And I got to tell you, it is the most nutty map in the world. And you had to sit there and play that thing without a map and without anywhere. You can't just save the game at any time either. You were given a password. And once you put that password in, you were at the beginning of the game. So I remember when I had Metroid on my Nintendo at the time, I used to have to sit there. I had graph paper, and I drew the whole map out. And then, of course, Nintendo sent me the official player's guide for free from being a subscriber to their little fun club. That was one of the little perks for that, to sending in the warranty card at the time. And lo and behold, there's a Metroid map, 2-page spread. I think, I'm sitting here with a half-drawn map, and I'm thinking, where were you a week ago?
Yeah, right?
But I'll tell you, nowadays, it's great. I mean, having this map, I guess you could say it makes it a little easier. But you know what? I don't know. Sometimes you just want to play the game, and something like a map is just more of a convenience than anything. It doesn't really add to the challenge, so to speak.
Well, even Resident Evil 4. I mean, I was constantly whipping back to the map. Where the hell was the traitor at? Where is he at? There he is.
You know what's funny about that? I didn't use that map at all.
Really?
In Resident Evil 4. I did not use the map at all for Resident Evil 4.
I was constantly in that stupid map.
I never used that map.
Well, maybe it's not as big of a convenience for you on this game.
I don't know what it is. I mean, no, and something like this, it is. You know what it is? It's that Resident Evil 4 was a fully 3D game.
Right.
And I found that if I play a fully 3D game, I'm better at remembering where certain locations are, where certain objects are, or where that little shop guy is,
Yeah.
But when you take something like this, which is relatively 2D, that's when it's a little bit of a trouble. The problem is when you're playing in 3D, you actually remember where you ran. You remember the motions of going through the corners and around the bends or recognizing certain things. In 2D, it just, I don't know what it is. It just doesn't work as the same. I guess it's the same as if you're driving in a car. And you're turning down a street. You recognize, okay, that's where I'm going to turn. There's a Pizza Hut on the corner.
Right.
So I don't know what it is, but for Resident Evil on the DS, I've been using the map like crazy. It's really funny.
Yeah. And the only bad part about the map, and I don't know how the original Resident Evil was, but there are things in the Resident Evil game like storage containers, right? In Resident Evil 4, you could get a bigger attaché case, so you had more room for stuff.
Right.
They don't have that in the original Resident Evil. They have these things called storage containers. And for those of you who've never played this game before, I'm going to give you a little background. I'm not going to assume that everybody listening has played Resident Evil, so I'm sorry if we're covering some familiar ground. But when you fill up, and I think Jill has 6 slots or 8 slots, and then the other guy has less.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Because Jill's the master of inventory.
Yeah. So you got like 6 slots, and let me tell you right now, 6 slots is not enough slots.
No.
So if you want to hold more than 6 items, you basically have to go to, I think in the mansion that I'm in right now, as far as I've made it, there are 2 storage containers. And the nice thing is that if you're at one, you can get the items from the other one. So even though they're all the way across the mansion from each other, if you put stuff in storage container number 1, when you go to storage container number 2, they're in there. So that's kind of cool. But to have to go and find, I got to go with those musical notes, I put them in the damn storage container. So you look up at your map and you're going, where the hell is the storage container? Wouldn't you think that it would be on the map? But it's not. So you're going, what the hell room was that storage container in? And that kind of sucked. To me, if you're going to have a map, put stuff on it. I mean, I appreciate the fact that there's an outline and you can see what doors you haven't opened yet, blah, blah, blah. But damn it, show me the important stuff. Where was the bazooka I left behind? How did I get back to that room? I couldn't remember how to get back to the room with the birds in it where the bazooka was. It's like,
Hey, one quick thing there while you mentioned doors. In the original PlayStation version of this game, I know this is a big question I've seen actually asked in the forums.
I know where you're going with this, yeah.
In the original PlayStation, when you opened the door, that was just an excuse for the thing to load the disc.
Yeah.
Now, in this, you have those doors, but believe it or not, you can skip them. The doors really did kind of add that little bit of suspense as they were opening, but at least now you have the option to just say, all right, yeah, I know, I've been through here already, skip it, okay. In the original PlayStation, you can do that, so that's a nice little thing there, right? I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, I was actually had on my little notes here to actually talk about that, but yeah, that is one of the other significant
you're bringing
differences.
up the map, and that's the thing is when you get the map there, you kind of know, okay, here's a room. You're going to be leading into a size room, how many zombies or what's going to be in it. And if you just want to jump through, pop the button and it pops you right through. None of that loading crap. Yeah. Talking instantaneous cart load here.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. So in the classic mode, basically it's, again, forget about any DS features. You're not going to use the microphone. You're not going to use the touchscreen. Really, you're going to use the touchscreen for inventory. But that's about it. It's nice to how you move around your inventory screen. You can find stuff easier. You can combine stuff easier. So that's pretty cool. But there really isn't any over generous use of the DS technology other than the persistent map. So I played this for about an hour, as I said, and there's another little nuance of Resident Evil that a lot of people have complained about, and they fixed this in the subsequent Resident Evil games. But in order to save your game, you have to have access to a typewriter. And there are like, I think, from the parts that I've played of the game, there are like 4 typewriters scattered throughout the game. But that's not the pissy part of it. The pissy part is you can't use the typewriter unless you have ribbons.
Just like Resident Evil 4, but
just like Resident Evil 4, except
unfortunately this time you're really limited.
Yeah, all you had to do was find a typewriter in Resident Evil 4. In the original one, not only did you have to find the typewriter, you had to have ribbons to use.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll tell you real quick. That is one of the reasons why I think I kind of gave up on the original on the PlayStation.
Oh, I don't blame you at all. That
it tested my patience, man. I mean, I mean, it's good for people, and there's a lot of people out there that can do this, that sit and can play the thing for 16 hours at one time.
Not me.
Yeah, and that it really hurts. And as a portable, I was hoping that things would be a little more remedied, and we'll be getting to that to a point.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. But in the original mode, ribbons are scarce. In the original DS or the original PlayStation version, apparently ribbons are scarce as hen's teeth. And the worst part is there's a finite amount of them in the game. So if you use up all of the ribbons that are scattered throughout the game early in the game, you don't get to save as much when you get up to the big bosses at the end. This is just what I've read. So I'm thinking, there's no way I'm going to be able to get through this. I'm saving every time I turn around. I'm going to run out of ribbons. So I read that the DS Rebirth mode kind of solved that problem. And I said, okay, well, let's give the Rebirth mode a try. And I'll tell you right now, Rebirth is the only version now that I play. And the differences in the Rebirth mode are that, number one, it makes use of the DS functionality. The game it's actually like a new game. The rooms are all the same layout of the mansion and everything. And your quests are similar. In other words, you have to go and shut off the pump that's powering or that's giving water to the monster in the one room. You have to do this, you have to do that. So there are the same missions, but on the other hand, there are, how do you put this? The way that they introduce monsters to you, when you walk into a room, you go into a first-person view sometimes, if there's zombies in there, and you then have to slash at them with the stylus. And you could have more than one zombie in there, so you could be slashing zombies for a good 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, the one room I walked into last night, I think when I was playing, was like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And they were just coming right at you. And all you see at the bottom of the screen is your little knife, your little hand hovering there with the knife. And you actually have to take the stylus and slash it across. And you can aim. And, man, it's actually a little hard because you're not expecting that. And then you're like scrambling. Usually half the time when it happens to me, I don't have my stylus. I end up using my fingernail. And let me tell you, fingernail's not nearly as accurate.
It does work. I mean, I was using my finger for a while,
right.
And I was like, hey, this actually kind of works.
In a clutch, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to die.
You're going to die otherwise.
Yeah.
But, yes.
It's kind of cool. I like that feature.
It's really cool. And they add a lot more zombies, so you have a lot more enemies to play with. And they also add a lot more birds. And the birds
are a pain.
The birds are a pain in the ass, but they add more birds. And some of the rooms definitely take on a different flavor in the Rebirth mode. I'm trying to come up with a specific example. Like in the Rebirth mode, I'm trying to remember, when you went into like the Raven room where your partner was at, that he was like laying on the floor dead, and you go in there, you have to shoot the birds down in the Rebirth mode. But when I went in the basic mode, there were no birds in there. So some of the rooms definitely take on a slightly different flair.
Yeah, little subtle touches.
Little subtle touches. And let me tell you, the piece that really made a difference to me is in the original game, the scare factor, from what I understand, especially from people who've played this a lot more, are basically the dogs and stuff jumping through the windows.
Oh, yeah.
That's where you get the scare factors. In Rebirth mode, and this is kind of sucky because I played the original version first, and I'd already played through a bunch of these rooms, so I knew kind of where the zombies were, or I thought I did. Well, in one room, there is a bureau with a mirror on the back of the bureau. And the way that the camera's oriented, when you stand in front of the bureau, you see yourself
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
That creeped me out.
Dude, when you go in original mode, the room's empty. So you walk in there, you check the bureau, you see yourself in the mirror, and you go, hey, that's pretty cool. Blah, blah, blah. You're just taking your time around the room. But in Rebirth mode, you go into that same room, and the second that you turn and look in the mirror, there's a freaking zombie behind you. And you see it in the mirror, and I'm sorry, handheld or not, I practically wet my pants because I was not expecting there to be a freaking zombie there. And they do that on more than one occasion.
That threw me off. I knew you were going to bring that up because originally in the old Resident Evil, like you said, man, I mean, the first time those dogs jumped through that window, I think everybody can pretty much agree with this. They jumped. I mean, you weren't expecting that. You didn't see the dogs. I mean, you didn't, Actually, I don't know if you saw, but if you actually try to leave the mansion at the beginning, have you ever tried that?
No, I never tried that. I was wondering what would happen.
Next time you go and play this game, try going out the first door that you entered the mansion in.
Yeah.
Okay? You get a little surprise. All right? I'm not going to ruin it.
Oh, okay. I'll try it out. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. It's something from the old. It's from the old version, and I think it's really cool that they left that in there. But getting back to the dogs, that was the part. That was what everybody. If you look at like the top 10, what scariest game list, that's usually in there. With the dogs jumping through the glass, and then the big run to get out of the way. But when I saw that zombie, I'm thinking, well, how's this thing going to scare me? I've already seen the dogs. That was the big scare for me. From when I played the original. And when, like you said, when you get to that mirror and that thing, you're like, oh, whoa, where's the stylus? I figured maybe I was going to be, cross-slashing again, so.
Yeah, and to me, and that sort of solidified, and that was the moment. I knew when the dogs were going to come out because I'd seen the trailers for the game, and I knew that when you were in that particular hallway that those dogs were going to come through the mirror or the windows, and I knew they were coming.
Yeah,
and yet,
10-year-old game,
it still made me jump. I knew it was coming. I had the volume turned up. I was home alone. I wasn't playing on a bus.
What were you wearing?
Well, I was wearing my pajamas. No, but I was laying in this chair. Everything was fairly quiet. The TV was off. I was playing alone. There was nobody home. And I knew the dogs were coming, and it still made me jump. And I thought, okay, the handheld does kind of work out. I was kind of worried that I wouldn't be engaged in a horror survival game on a handheld.
Right.
I was like everybody else. I was kind of like, well, maybe I can't be scared.
Right.
And so at that point in time, I said, okay, cool. Maybe I can be scared. This is cool. I like this. Because I'm a huge the original Silent Hill game scared the living crap out of me. And then when the zombie thing showed up, I was like, yes, I'm completely convinced now that you can pull this kind of game off on a handheld. It all depends on the player. Are you able to suspend your disbelief? If you played Silent Hill in a room full of people with music going on in the background and party mode, dude, that's not going to scare you.
I played the ambiance.
Yeah, I played Silent Hill in the dark in my bedroom. I even called in sick to work the next day to play Silent Hill, and I had the lights out, the window shades were pulled.
It's the best way to play.
Oh, I totally got into the game, and I believe that if you're willing to allow yourself to be immersed, even in the handheld version, I think you'll find that the atmosphere works. And I'm not sure what you think about that, Chris.
Oh, no, I agree.
Do you believe it worked out?
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. And that was because that was one of the big things that people were wondering. If you looked, once again, going back to the forums and our email that we received, people were saying, Resident Evil, Deadly Silence, do you think it'll really be able to hold up as a portable? Do you think that whole atmosphere and the ambience and will that carry over to a portable? Sitting in a room with the lights out, the speakers up, nobody home, in your pajamas, is that going to scare me? Yeah, it can scare you. But will that work on a portable? Well, it does to a point. You don't have the surround sound, and as long as if you put that darkness really adds to it. And the only thing you have lit in that room are those two screens, those dual screens shining at you. I think it really does work out pretty well. Especially if you've never played the dog. The game, those dogs are going to scare you.
Yeah, it works. Even though I knew they were coming, they still scared me.
Yeah.
But also in the rebirth mode too, that's worth noting is there's a lot more puzzle solving to have happen. In fact, they have I don't even know how you explain it. Many of the reviews have showed how it works out. You have to open containers using like color-coded locks. What are some of the puzzles that I figured? There was a couple other puzzles that were kind of interesting. They have like a scale system. If anybody who's played like Myst or any of those sort of interactive type games, the puzzles seem to me to be very similar to that.
That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah,
really
and I thought there weren't as many puzzles in the original version, whereas in the rebirth version, you were hitting a puzzle fairly frequently.
Yeah, the puzzles are more in the way of, oh, there is an empty slot here, and it's like, okay, and then you got to figure out what you're going to put in there,
Right.
Or, I could use a key to open this door, so you have to go look for a key, real subtle hits there. It's kind of, there's nothing mind-blowing going on here in terms of puzzles.
They're not puzzles that will piss you off. They're puzzles where you go, okay, what exactly am I supposed to do here? And then you start dinking around with it and you go, oh, okay, I think I know what to do. And then you spend a reasonable amount of time completing the puzzle, and you move along. It's not like some of these games where you literally spend an hour and a half trying to open this stupid cabinet, and what's inside of it pisses you off.
Yeah.
But,
you found a herb.
Yeah, you found a herb. It's like, what the hell? But there are numerous little puzzles, and I thought that the puzzles were well balanced. They were entertaining. They didn't piss me off, and I think that they added a nice element to it. I mean, you're not going to run around in a supposedly, haunted mansion, and have crap just laying around. You're going to have to get a key. You're going to have to, do something. People are going to protect their valuables, Sometimes you have to push stuff out of the way. Sometimes it depends on your camera angle, whether or not you can see something you need to pick up. Oh, that's the other thing, too. Oh, I'm glad I remembered this. In the original Resident Evil mode, items do not sparkle. Like in Resident Evil 4.
Interesting. I never really noticed
that. Did you notice that?
You know what? I'll be honest. I played mostly the Rebirth mode anyway.
Yeah, me too.
I already knew what I was getting into in the original Resident Evil. And see, I think the Rebirth mode is what really sold me on the DS version.
Absolutely.
And I'm still tinkering along with it. I think you're a little further than I am. But I'm really satisfied. It's a lot better, I think, than the original Resident Evil.
Yeah, and that's something that carried over from Resident Evil 4 is when you're running around Resident Evil 4 and there's an item that you can get, even if it's not immediately in view.
That's cool.
It sparkles a little bit.
And that's
how
good for
you
the
find
smaller
the hidden
screen
stuff
too.
Yeah, so like in the Resident Evil Rebirth mode, when there's something there that you can pick up, it sparkles, and it's a tie back to that Resident Evil 4, whereas the original mode doesn't have that. So that's kind of an overview of the Rebirth mode and the original mode.
You know what else they've added that it's really a godsend is also the instant turn.
Oh, I forgot about that. Good catch.
Yeah, you could have a couple zombies on your tail, and you're running like molasses down a hallway, and you're on a turn to get a couple shots off. Well, you don't have to actually walk to turn. You can hit a combination. I think it's the shoulder button and the Y button. Boom! You're instantly turned around, just like in Resident Evil 4. A lot of these little extras are coming off Resident Evil 4. So that really does help, and that's another reason why I like the Rebirth move. The controls are a little better. I mean, you're actually able to customize them a little more.
I guess the whole point of this Rebirth versus original mode is I look at this like pack and roll or other types of games where there's a new version of the game that you actually buy and play, and then somewhere along the way there's an unlockable that lets you play the original Pac-Man or the original Ms. Pac-Man or the original Centipede, right? You're buying the game to play the main game, but as a bonus, Spy Hunter gets unlocked or something like that. In this case, I look at the original mode as, for the people who love the original game, here you go.
You got your nostalgia right there.
We included the nostalgia, but we want you to know we've been paying attention. We know why Resident Evil 4 was popular. So we've taken the best elements of 1 and 4. We've put them kind of together here for you. We gave you this Rebirth mode, and we took the DS features into consideration. And now I'm going to give you another little tidbit of what happens in Rebirth mode. And this is cool. I'm sorry. This sounds totally gay, and I understand if you are listening out there and you say, dude, that's gay. But this is cool. There's a time when you're going to stumble upon one of your teammates, and he's like on the edge of death. You can revive him with mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Sounds totally gay. I'm sorry, no matter how you paint that, it looks gay, it sounds gay. But when you're actually there and you're enveloped in the game and you run across the guy, a little life meter pops up that shows the guy's vital statistics, a little sinus wave thing. Right. And you have to blow a certain length of time and a certain amount to bring his chest up, and then the little screen will say okay or confirm that you blew hard enough or long enough, and then you let it out. It's just like CPR. And you do this mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and it's cool. I mean, I don't understand why it's cool. I can't tell you why it's cool and why it doesn't.
It's interactive. That's, I think, it comes down to. It adds that it breaks that what is it when they say on TV, that
the
fourth
dimension wall. Yeah, the fourth
wall. I mean, it really gives you that little extra hint of being a part of the story.
Yeah, like we talked about last month, the tactile feeling of the DS. Yeah. This is just one more way of engaging you directly into the game. And even though it's kind of worthless because like the dude dies anyway, but it's like, damn, I just blew in your freaking mouth and you died anyway, you bastard.
You didn't like your breath.
Didn't like my breath. But in any event, I thought that was kind of a nice thing. And it doesn't happen all the time. In fact, it's only happened to me one time in the whole time I've been playing it, so it's not overused. It's not like you don't feel, at least I didn't feel like. We need to use the microphone for something, so what are we going to do with it? Well, let's make it so you have to resuscitate It feels natural in the game. It doesn't feel gimmicky. And I guess that's part of it, too, why I think it's cool and it's not gay. whatever. Why don't you, Chris? I think you've had more experience than I have in the multiplayer mode. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
I actually played the multiplayer mode a few nights ago with my brother. He's got this game, and it's basically from what we played. The one mode we played was I've dabbled in a little bit. This is really cool though. I'm not the best player at this game, unfortunately. He's like the Grand Poobah of the Jedi Master of Resident Evil. I'm nothing. So it took me a little while to get accustomed to it. I mean he's up to the point where he's doing speed runs for this game. He just clocked in under 58 minutes to complete this game. And you unlock stuff. So he's loving that feature now. I mean he's already played the thing to death. So, but we moved on to the multiplayer, and basically it looks like you're with the other person, and you're both walking to a customized version of the mansion. I think it's more or less one segment of the mansion. And you have a time limit, and you both go room to room, and you take out the zombies, collect the items, and move on. We started out in the same room. You can walk ahead of the other person. Now, the problem is, when you first start it, you're going to see that the other person, you can see him on your screen, but it's only a representation of where he is on the map. It's not actually the player. It's basically he's represented by a little star that moves around. And as the other player on the other DS is moving around, that little star is going to show you where he is to indicate where he's going. So you guys can pick your own choices. Do you want to go through here, or you want to stick together, split up? Basically, though, if you go together, you're going to stand a little more of a chance taking out the zombies. You get to the end, you got to try to take out the main bad guy, which actually the main fight took place right at the entrance of the mansion, and it was one of the bigger boss monsters from the game. Unfortunately, that's where I died, and therefore we lost the game. So it was pretty cool, though. It was just nice that they added that little extra thing on there. Fans are going to love it. It's a shame that it's not single car play, but you got a lot going on there, so I can understand why. I mean, you just got a lot of graphics and sound, and it's a pretty in-depth game already.
And did you play in cooperative mode or competitive mode?
Oh yeah, that's what it was. It was cooperative, which is actually I thought it was going to be a competitive thing, but it might even be. But we were playing it together. I mean, we were just walking through. It was a co-op mission. So
yeah, and there's actually two modes in there. You can play cooperatively or you can play competitively.
Well, the cooperative is what we played, and I thought it was kind of neat. I was getting frustrated. I'm just so bad at this game.
So for you people who actually want to kick each other's ass and beat the other people, because some people have no reward in video games unless they're beating somebody else.
Yeah.
So there is a competitive mode where you race to get the items first before the other person does. I think you can even set traps or something. I didn't get that deep into it, but
yeah, it's kind of like it almost reminds me of. I haven't really dabbled in it too much, to be honest. But it almost reminds me a little bit of the boss rush mode in Castlevania DS. I don't know if you tried that, but it's the same idea in where you're at point A and you gotta get to point B as quick as you can. You gotta race your opponent, and you're fighting all the bosses in the game, and you're trying to see who can beat them all first and get to the end and the finish line. Blah blah blah. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of blah. It feels more like a throw-in. They're trying to do something to give you that extra value. I've honestly played better multiplayer games. If you're a big fan of this game, I think you're going to love this. So I could see it being like a big hit with the fans.
Yeah, and again, I agree with you. I didn't play it much myself in terms of the multiplayer mode. I just kind of threw two DSs side by side, kind of ran together just to see sort of what it looked like, because we only have one copy of the game here in the house. So,
I think overall, it's just a single player game to begin with, and that's where its strength lies. This is kind of just something they threw in. It's kind of cool they did it. If you find somebody else with a Resident Evil, I don't really see it taking off too much.
No.
It's not going to be like Tetris DS.
No, not going to be digital crap.
Yeah,
but
it's kind of cool they did it, and I don't know. I wouldn't buy it just for that though.
No.
I really don't recommend it for that.
Yeah. So let's wrap this review up a little bit. I give the game a stylus up. I find that it's 20. I think was it a $34 game or was it $29?
$34.99.
Yeah, $34.99. Yeah, if what we say, makes sense to you, it's definitely worth the money. I found that there's a lot of play value in it. There's apparently a lot of replay value if you want to go back, do the speed chases, do the speed runs, as well as play an original versus the rebirth mode. And, of course, you've always got the multiplayer aspect of it. I've already managed to log myself 6 or 7 hours of play. And so to me, I think that the value's there, especially if you're a fan, or if maybe you've never played Resident Evil. I'm not sure the people in between that may have played the original remake. Maybe if you're not a real big nostalgia fan, but you played the remake, this may not be the game for you. But if you've never played the original Resident Evil,
if you've never played it, it's a definite recommendation.
Or if you are a real slut for the first Resident Evil, which apparently there are tons of people that are,
then it's definitely a recommendation.
Then it's definitely a recommendation. The rest of you who are kind of on the fence about it, absolutely, I'm sure there will be used copies clocking in at $26 that you'll be able to pick up that way. Take a look at some of the trailers, borrow from a friend, get your own opinion. As far as I'm concerned, it's a stylus up game. Chris, your thoughts?
For me, I'm not going to give it a stylus up, but I'm going to give it a stylus sideways.
Level stylus.
Yes, I'm giving it a level stylus. I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's not a bad game. But at the same time, I can't recommend it outright for people who have already played it because, if you've already played it, then you've already played it. It's got some new features. It depends. What it comes down to is how diehard are you for this series? My brother's diehard. He wanted it right away. He's played the game a billion times. He still wanted it. Okay, you have to ask yourself how much you like Resident Evil. Now, if you like it enough that you're going to run out, you got to have them all, then you're going to want to buy it. On the other hand, I don't think it's a bad game. It is not a bad game. It's definitely not a stylus down. It's a stylus up in that respect. But if you're looking to say to yourself, I've already played it on the PlayStation. I've already played it on the GameCube. Do I want to play it again on the DS? That's why I'm going to have to say I'm not sure if I would agree with that. But then again, it's more of a personal preference. You got to ask yourself, do I need another version of this game? And if you feel you do, then here you go, and you're going to love it. Overall quality, though, I do have to give it a stylus up. I think it's a great game, especially if you haven't played it. I highly recommend it. So I'm going to give 2 reviews to that respect. It's hard for me to explain it. I'm trying to think of the best way to go, because I've seen in our forums one person was asking, look, should I get the Resident Evil 0 for the GameCube or should I get this? I'm going to say get the GameCube one in that respect, because if you have the GameCube available, it's not only is it cheaper. You may enjoy just sitting down. You're going to probably get a better overall ambience and atmosphere on a bigger screen TV out of this game. If you're a diehard fan, you're going to love this game as well. It kind of goes both ways. I recommend it either way.
And then something to add to that, and this is something that's just generically speaking about DS games, because there are a lot of games where it's like, we've already played Ridge Racer, we've already played this, we've already played that. I mean, there are a lot of rehashes.
It goes back to the storming of the beach of Normandy.
Look at Madden. Madden 05, Madden 06.
Yeah, people keep buying that.
They've got console versions, right? But if you got the console version, but you spend 3 hours a day on the bus, that's 3 hours you could be playing the portable version.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where you ask yourself, what kind of gamer am I? Do I spend more time at the console or do I spend more time on the portable?
That's exactly what I was trying to get at. I mean, I'm giving you a heads up, but
in all honesty, if you've got the Cube hooked up all the time, a lot of people have it sitting in the closet now to make room for an Xbox or whatever. And, you don't console game a lot. You don't have the time. You're a commuter. You're a busy parent, whatever. Then, you can get the same type of experience on the handheld as you could on the console version. It really depends, as I had already mentioned, about your preferences and stuff, but also where you plan to play and how much time you have to play in each version.
That ultimately is what it comes down to.
Yeah. So that's kind of
I'm going to recommend. I do recommend it. It's almost. I have 2 ways of looking for it, and that's where my dilemma is. Because I do recommend it. I do give it a stylus up. I also want to give it a stylus level, because the people who have played it, it may not be worth it. I mean, you just got to ask yourself, how big of a fan am I? My brother is a big enough fan. He went out and bought it first day. He couldn't wait to have it.
Yeah.
It just depends on how much of a fan you are. It really does. It's still a good game either way. It's certainly not something to be missed. So it's definitely a picker-upper.
There you have it. So, and I'm sure it'll drop in price soon if the price is keeping you away from it. And again, there's so many great games out now. Like I said, if this had come out, as a launch title, or something early, there's so many games, and that's part of the thing. When we give a game a review, understand too that we're surrounded by games because we're such DS sluts that we have typically most of the games that are out if they're any good at all, and so we have to balance our review with the concept of, okay, well, I could be playing Resident Evil, but I'd much rather be playing Ages of Empire or whatever.
Exactly.
And so that will skew our reviews. We can't be totally we can't be totally benign to that fact that
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's kind of how I'm feeling right now.
It's
when I saw this at the store, when I saw this Resident Evil Deadly Silence at the store on the shelf, it's right next to a bunch of other new games. I mean, look, this month alone has been killer. There's a lot of new games out.
Yeah. And
it's almost like, do I want to play Resident Evil again for those people who already have played it, or should I go and grab that new game? I'm gonna have to say go grab the newer game. I mean,
so there you have it. I mean,
that's what I'm trying to get. I'm having trouble explaining it.
Yeah,
because
and I'm
it's
sure
a good game, but at the same time, there's so many other games out there right now.
I mean, Tetris DS comes out, you're going to forget all about Resident Evil anyway.
Exactly. So
one
other quick thing, real quick. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, that's okay. I was just trying to move us along.
I know. Real quick thing I want to throw in here for those people that are looking for new features and new reasons to pick this up. Or I do know. Once again, I'm saying this for my brother. He's doing these speed runs, and every time you complete the game at a quick enough speed. I mean, at one time he was 1 minute and 6 seconds. Now he shaved it down to 58 minutes. This guy's a maniac. So when he beats it by about an hour, I think it's under an hour, you can actually unlock a limitless, unlimited ammo rocket launcher. So he was walking around a zombie rocket, just blowing away. He was having a ball with it, So little things like that. You can also unlock new characters for the multiplayer. It's the guy Wesker and Barry. You can unlock them, I believe, to play as the bonus characters in the multiplayer. So, little things like that. If you're looking, you got to have them all. It's almost like a Pokemon kind of thing. Got to catch them all. And that's the way you look at it. I mean, so that's my feeling on that.
All right. Well, that should. I'm hoping that gives everybody enough information on Resident Evil. Whether or not it's for you or not, it's kind of one of those things that we're, kind of going a little bit on either way on it. So as much as we'd like to give you a definitive answer, go out and get it right now, that's probably not going to happen. So you've got our opinions. Make your own decision. And hey, let us know what you think on our forums about Resident Evil. Maybe your particular insight can help other people choose. It's a feedback scenario.
Yeah, please keep us updated and let us know what you think once you get it.
That's always helpful to see how we compare to our fans,
I mean, I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at it from I'm a magazine. I gotta give my definitive answer. I'm just trying to speak my mind, how it comes to me. How I feel about this game as a customer, or a purchaser or a fan of the game system.
There you go.
I'm not under any obligation. So
that's the best part about this. We don't have to kiss anybody's ass.
Exactly.
All right, now, this is a regular feature of our show. We tell you about what's coming up, because the show, we're trying to do the show every other week, but this time we managed to skip a week. So we're trying to give you a 2 or 3, maybe even a 4-week outlook on what's coming up. And as always, we are going to tread over a couple of other games that are, we've already talked about a little bit. But coming attractions, we'll just take turns at this. How about that, Chris? I'll start.
That's fine. Yeah, we'll just keep you up to date on what's going on in the world of the Nintendo DS in terms of software.
Yeah,
and what's going to be coming out.
Yeah. Coming out on the 27th, we have Super Princess Peach, which is your standard
2D
Mario,
side-scroller.
2D side-scroller Mario Worlds or Super Mario World style, but with the Princess Peach, some power-ups, some stylus play. It looks pretty good. I'm looking forward to it. Chris, you want to chime in real quick?
I'm looking forward to it. I love the art. I think the whole style is really cool. Some people are saying, well, it could have probably been done on Game Boy Advance. Well, whatever. It's got some little gameplay features that I think really are kind of cool for the stylus and whatnot. This is the kind of game that the DS is just screaming for right now in terms of waiting for the new Super Mario Brothers game. And I think this will help fill that void in the meantime. It's your typical side-scroller 2D. It's not going to fill the need for a new Mario Brothers game. It's kind of a nice little side story. It looks really good. I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll have a review in an upcoming show for it.
Yeah. Do you want to do the next one? Start the next one for us?
Okay, yes. The next one, I'll take this since I know Sade's not a big fan. FIFA Street 2 is coming out February 28th, only a few days away. It wasn't such a good game on the consoles. Let me just tell you, it sucks, okay? I was not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of the whole playing soccer on the concrete. Going from the screenshots I've seen of this, I'm not impressed. Not necessarily based on what the DS can do. I'm just not impressed, period. Although, even for the DS, I'm not impressed with the graphics. When I first saw the original FIFA 2006, I said, wow, that looks really impressive. That looks really cool for what the DS can handle. It's one of my favorite games. It's in my opinion, not only the best game that EA has done for the DS, but it's also probably next to True Swing Golf, the best sports game on the DS right now. FIFA Street, from what I could tell, I honestly haven't played it, but I don't have good vibes from it, especially based on the console version. The console versions of the regular FIFA games have been pretty consistently good over the years. Some are better than others. I'm really not liking 2006 on the Xbox, but FIFA Street, when it was on the consoles, just blew. And so I'm not really having much hope for it.
Okay, well, I got to take a quick look at the Euro import, and I'll tell you what, from a graphic perspective, I mean, in terms of the technical, I'm not a soccer player. I couldn't even begin to tell you whether or not it felt good in terms of playing soccer. But I tell you from a technological point of view, their developers are starting to come to terms with the the DS hardware, and they're starting to make leaps and bounds in terms of playing to the strengths and cutting the right edges where it needs to be. The players move unbelievably realistically. And they actually look pretty good too. They don't look like washed out polygon boxes. Mm-hmm. So they've definitely done some work in that. Will that translate into a good game? Great graphics never do translate necessarily into a good game. So
no, but at the same time, we've already played FIFA 2006.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it's at least going to keep that kind of. Sure, the graphics aren't everything, but I'll tell you right now. The Game Boy Advance soccer FIFA series, I just never could get into it. Especially, I think mainly because the problem is I've already played the FIFA on the consoles.
Yeah.
And the DS version for me it's amazing how they managed to squish that down into a portable little 3D soccer game. It really bowled me over. The gameplay of soccer isn't going to change. It's been the same way it has been for years now. So you really are going to look at it from a graphical game point, or a graphical point, in terms of the gameplay the gameplay's got to be good to begin with. But soccer is soccer, it's a sports game. The best thing they can do is change the controls, the gameplay itself in terms of how soccer is played. But ultimately, to me, that having the graphics really does help for something like this because it's a real sport, Now, I don't know, in your little time that you played it, is the surrounding, every screenshot I've seen, there's been no surrounding backgrounds. It's all been black.
It's all blacked out, yeah. But, it looks like you're playing at night. At least I played on I played like on the tennis court. It looks like a tennis court, really. But, it didn't bother me. That didn't draw my eye. I didn't say, hey, where's the background? It just seemed to make sense. And that's what I mean by understanding the technological stuff. If you want to have nice-looking players, which apparently, for people who might play this game anyway, the EA heads, they want to see better-looking players. They don't care about backgrounds. So maybe they took, the power they saved doing the backgrounds and put them into the players. It's really hard to say, and it depends on what's important to you. And in this case, I'll probably never look at the title again. It's not really my gig. I'm not into soccer. I just wanted to see, has EA come a long way from that horrible Marvel, Rise of the Imperfects or whatever.
And Burnout Revenge, too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
And Madden.
Well, actually, it's funny. The 2005 Madden was actually better, but Let's move along. We promised we weren't going to talk a lot about these coming attractions, and here we are, like burning minutes into them. Pokemon Troze, as I had to have Opera pronounce it for me. You know me, I can't pronounce this Japanese stuff. That I'm actually looking forward to. I saw the Japanese import. I managed to kind of figure out how it worked, and it is not, as you would get from the screenshots, it is not a straight Bejeweled clone. It is a very different thing. It's more like it always, for some reason, reminds me of lining up slot machine reels.
Right, exactly.
That's how it felt like to me. And you can scroll them both horizontally and vertically. There's a lot of chain reaction stuff going on. To me, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not a huge fan of the Pokemon universe, but I'm a whore for fast-action Twitch puzzle-type games.
Exactly.
And I think this is going to be kick-ass. What about you? That comes out, by the way, March 6th.
March 6th, yep. And I've tried it a little bit. I've tried a little preview copy of it. They have I don't know if you're aware of this, but the kiosks at the GameStops now have this game as one of the demos.
Oh, way cool.
And I was playing it the other day, and yeah, it's a little strange. It actually took me a few minutes to figure out how this worked, because like you said, I originally thought it was going to be just a regular Bejeweled clone, which actually, something like Zookeeper's already taken care of. We don't even need Bejeweled now at this point. Yeah, I'm looking forward to giving it a shot. I've only played it for a few minutes. It looks interesting. I'm certainly not into Pokemon. But then again, I'll tell you what, Pokemon Pinball, excellent game. I love it. It was fantastic. Game Boy Advance? Yes, Game Boy Advance version. It's a pretty fantastic game, yes.
How about
you
that?
should really check that out. Ignore the Pokemon. Even though one of the neat little aspects for it was collecting them, so they really threw it in. Next to Metroid Pinball, that was easily one of the best video pinball games I played.
Wow,
I mean, especially on a portable. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to it. See how this works out.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be. I'm placing it in the $19.99 range, and I'm hoping that's what it comes out on. I don't know if I'll be able to throw down.
I'm thinking $29.99 myself.
I hope they don't do that. The $29 price point, not for this sort of game, but who knows?
It's got Pokemon though, dude.
Yeah,
Pokemon,
good point there.
You got Pokemon. They're going to sell it at $29. They know they're going to be able to get away with it. All the kids are going to want to play, and all the parents are going to buy it for them for $29.99. They know they can do it. So
I know.
I mean, as long as I'd love to say $19.99. Sorry, I don't see that happen, but you never know. We'll see.
That's too bad.
Anyway, on the 15th of March, and this is a big shock to me. This is something I've only noticed in the last couple of weeks. The Nintendo Wi-Fi adapter that's only been available actually at the Nintendo.com website. Well, it looks like EB Games is going to be selling it at the store. Really cool. This is great. For a while there, what's funny is I actually remember seeing this in the Best Buy ad about a month ago. Best Buy was selling this thing at the end of January. And I looked out. I actually ended up buying one. They had one left. I haven't seen it since. So I don't know if that was just a little test to see how well it would sell. But we picked it up, and we gave that to my sister so she can play online at school now, and it's working fantastic. It took a little while to set up, but it looks like EB Games is going to start selling it. I'm not sure about GameStop and everybody else, but it's one more place you can check out if you didn't want to go through Nintendo.com. Especially if you say had like gift cards or coupons, you may be able to get a good deal from EB Games. That's March 15th.
Yeah, and just to let everybody know, a lot of people, I want to make one observation, I guess, is even without this Wi-Fi adapter being globally available, being available online only, really seemed to me that it would really put a wrench in Nintendo's plan to get people on Wi-Fi. It didn't do squat to stop Wi-Fi. It did nothing.
No.
Everybody's on it.
Yeah. It's got record-breaking speed in Xbox Live.
It's unbelievable. And it's again, a lot of people say, well, Nintendo doesn't advertise enough, or why did Nintendo only sell Electroplankton online, or why do they only sell the Wi-Fi adapter online? You know what? Stop questioning Nintendo. They obviously know what the hell they're doing, because Electroplankton was a runaway hit. Wi-Fi adapter didn't stop people, millions of people from logging in. And the fact that I think I've seen 5 Nintendo DS advertisements total since the unit came out, it doesn't stop 13 million people from buying them. No. So, yeah, obviously Nintendo knows what they're doing. And, was it a pain in the butt to say, hey, if you want to play your DS online, you're going to have a router that's compatible. And let's be honest, I had to buy a new router. My router would not handle, my Wi-Fi access point would not handle the DS traffic, so I had to, spend $40 and replace it. And if people are obviously willing to do that to play this, and this is just the turnkey approach, and it works very well, by the way. The range is a lot shorter than a wireless access point. I mean, if you're looking at it saying, well, I could buy a WAP for $49, or I could buy this for $39.
This is instantaneous. No, it's just a totally easy setup. I mean,
this is the Mac.
Now, the problem is, well, actually, the Mac is out of the question.
Yeah, the Mac doesn't work. But I'm saying if you're looking for the Macintosh solution to Wi-Fi,
it's not the Mac. No.
I'm saying that it's so easy. It's the Mac mentality.
Right.
You plug it in, you run a driver, you're online. Poof, that's it.
But unfortunately, it doesn't work on the Mac.
It doesn't work on the Mac.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, let me add
it's the AOL version of it.
Yeah. Right, the dumbed-down version.
It's the dumbed-down version of Wi-Fi access. Anybody can use it. Trust me.
Yeah, and up to 5 people can connect to it at once.
Which
once
is way
you've
cool.
established a lead owner. Now, I do know that recently, as I said, my sister, we gave this to her. She's playing it at school. And she actually has a setup through the school's broadband. Not everybody can just jump on it. She actually had to go and download a login window and actually had to install a specific version of McAfee antivirus that they had to specifically give her. Now, at first, she had some trouble getting on with it. Now, she managed to figure it out. But you may want to be a little wary of that. I mean, it's not going to be all easy. I mean, in some cases. Now, if you have absolutely zero, if you just have a basic connection to the internet through Comcast or Verizon or what have you, plugging this thing in, it looks like it's pretty darn easy. You're not going to have, if you don't have any specific craziness going on, and even then, it looks like it tries to bypass a lot of that for you, if I'm not mistaken.
Basically
you've got more experience with it, so you'd probably be better off explaining it. But
it worked out perfect. I mean, I went to my mother-in-law's house, and I plugged it into her USB port. I installed the drivers. I was on. No problems whatsoever.
I have an excuse to go there, huh?
Yeah, now I can go. But the sour spot of it, of course, is the range is very limited, especially going through walls.
What would you say about?
I'd say 30 feet.
Yeah, so it's significantly less than, I guess, if you were doing like PictoChat.
Yeah, if you were, I wasn't able to. I played a lot of Mario Kart, and I couldn't sit on one side of the living room. I had to sit on the other side, and it was kind of a drag. But I'll tell you what, though, again, it comes down to I can take this anywhere with me. If I go over to a friend's house, I can throw it in there. Of course, having to have the drivers is kind of a bite, but my man purse is sufficiently adequate to hold a copy of the drivers. And if you really feel overzealous
about it, a memory card too. You could throw it on like a little memory stick.
You could throw it on a memory stick.
No
you could throw it on, an SD card or a flash drive. Or, if you really wanted to be cool about it, you could go get one of those 3-inch CDs and burn the driver to that. Then that would fit in your man bag proper. But in any event, again, ask yourself, am I traveling with it a lot? Or do I need a permanent home solution? If you need a permanent home solution, literally, if you go out and look, a Wi-Fi, a wireless access point for your computer is like $10 more. Yeah. And you're going to get twice the distance, and you'll be able to hook up your laptop or any future wireless
PDA,
devices.
Anything,
Yeah. So
one other thing real quick to throw in there, if you're going to be going that route, I would highly suggest you check out NintendoWiFi.com. They have a nice little listing of supported routers. So it's better to not get stuck with something that's not supported. I know Shane, as he said, he had to go out and buy a whole new router. So you might want to use that list on their website as some kind of gauge as to what to buy.
Absolutely.
And definitely hold out for a good price. Those things are dropping like a dime.
Oh, I know. And if you work it out, I managed for it was $50, and I got not only the wireless access point, which is also a 4-port router, and I got a PCMCIA card for my laptop to hit it. So literally for $50, I mean, I got the full meal deal.
Oh, that's cool. So you got a bundle, yeah.
I got a bundle. It was $59 like a $10 rebate.
That's great. Yeah.
That's nothing. I mean, if you're going to spend $39 on the Wi-Fi adapter, consider whether you need to travel with it and maybe look into getting that wireless access point. But as Chris said, it's beautiful that it's in stores. That's going to get a lot of the casual DS users, the people who were afraid to get on Wi-Fi, don't have the equipment at home. It's going to give you an instant gratification methodology of getting online.
Definitely.
It's smart of them to bring it out. And let's not question their motives for making you wait 8 months to get it in the store.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think while you're talking there, I just realized, our next 2 releases that we're going to mention in this little segment are both Wi-Fi enabled games.
That's a good point. I didn't even make that correlation myself.
This thing is coming out 5 days prior to those two games.
That's pretty. Like I said, don't question Nintendo.
And these two games that we're going to mention are undoubtedly the two of the biggest games of the year.
Absolutely.
And they're both on Wi-Fi. The first one's Metroid Prime Hunters. This is March 20th. This is coming out. This is going to be one of the big ones. You know, it's been in cryo sleep for a while now. You know, we played the demo. Yeah, we played the demo way back in November of '94, and
2004.
Oh yeah, 2004.
Yeah, 94 is a little bit early.
Save that for the bloopers.
That's good.
Anyway, you know,
hell no, I'm leaving that in. That's funny, dude.
Now, but the point is, this game has totally changed. I mean, even Nintendo Power last month. Was it last month? Yeah, last month.
Yeah.
Had a huge spread on this game. I'm totally psyched for it. It's almost like they totally redesigned it. Do not go by what the demo is showing you. I mean,
God, no.
I've seen some video clips of this game. It's amazing.
If nothing else, you need to go and hit IGN or wherever your favorite
some
game
video
is,
clips of this.
and look at the video clips because you will lose your freaking minds. And let me tell you something. I am not a first-person shooter fan. I was not interested in the Metroid game for the GameCube. What was it called? Prime?
Yeah, Metroid Prime.
Metroid Prime. Yeah, I was not interested at all in that. I am not a first-person shooter guy, and I just had no interest. After seeing the videos and reading what they're doing with the game and how they're totally whoring the DS hardware, I'll tell you what, I can't wait to get my paws on this game.
That's going to be exciting. It looks really good. It looks like they've added a single-player feature. And
yeah, they were talking that the single-player thing is. Did you read that interview? I think this month in this month's Nintendo Power, they have an interview with the 2 or 3 of the guys working on the project for Metroid, and they're like, man, I mean, we have gone through this. I mean, they've invented new technology bases just to make this game the best possible game they could, and I don't know. I'm
looking forward to it. I just think it's interesting that this adapter's coming out
5 days before the rest of these guys are coming out.
And you've got the Metroid Prime Hunters, and on the same day, March 20th, here it is, Nintendo DS. Excuse me, Tetris DS for Nintendo DS. Yeah. It's another Wi-Fi game. So there you go. Obviously, Nintendo said, screw it. Let's just release this thing. We gotta get this thing out here. We gotta get more people on here.
Yeah.
Even people who don't understand the technology. I mean, it's gonna make it easier for them.
And let's be honest, there are an inherent lack of what Generation Gimme would call mature games on the DS. You got things like GoldenEye, but nobody really liked GoldenEye. You got things like Resident Evil's like really the only mature game out there. Quote mature. I don't subscribe to that terminology. But in all honesty, when you think mature, you think Xbox. When you think Xbox, you think first-person shooters.
I think that would be a good editorial for you in the future.
Yeah, I think we need to bitch about that in the future. But in any event, Metroid Prime Hunters shows that the DS can do the first-person shooter, can do the first-person adventure. In the DS hardware, quote, restrictions, and do it right and make even PlayStation Portable people jealous. So I'm more eager to see how that game – I'm excited to play it, don't get me wrong, but I'm more excited to see how it impacts the market, how it may drive DS sales, and how it may drive people who are like, DS sucks, PlayStation Portable rules, how those people may be, swayed into coming over.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting experiment. And of course, Tetris DS, I'm practically drooling right now, laying in a pool of my own spittle, waiting for Tetris DS, because I think that is going to be the game this year probably for the DS. Honestly, I'll be playing Tetris DS in a year.
Plus, we got some little news tidbits coming up in our.
Oh yeah, that's right. We don't want to talk too much about that, so we'll move right along.
So we'll be coming back to that very shortly.
Yeah. And the other thing we'd like to do here is, because the show was running a little late, a couple of releases we missed talking about because we were a week late on the show. And that is the first one is Age of Empires, which I'll be honest, I was not completely sure about that, whether I was going to like it. Because I'm not a real big fan of Advance Wars or turn-based games. I'm more a real-time strategy kind of guy.
Yeah. Right.
But I wasn't really big into Age of Empires. So it's like, okay, well, I wasn't into the original Age of Empires. I don't like turn-based strategy. What the hell is this game going to hold for me? Is it even going to be worth my time? But I'd already pre-ordered it, and it's like, okay, I'll buy it. And I'll tell you what.
To the collective.
I liked it. I liked it. I laid in bed. I was sick a couple of days, and which is why we're late. And I must have played like 5 or 6 hours of Ages of Empire, and that's a testament to me. And I'm sure we'll review that on a later show. But I wanted for those
definitely.
people who were saying, hey, I wonder what Shane and Chris think about Age of Empires. Very polished. I mean, to me,
right now it's
polished
very polished and very positive.
Yeah. So we'll tell you more about that later. Did you want to add anything to that Age of Empires?
Well, I've been dabbling in the tutorial mode right now. I think probably this is one of those games I probably would have maybe waited on. There's just too many other games out right now, but I don't know. Something in my gut tells me this game is going to be harder to come by later on. I don't know what it is. It's just I haven't really seen it around so much, and I wanted to add that if you are thinking about getting it, and this is something that does interest you. I know it is different from the typical PC Age of Empires. Like you said, it's turn-based now, like Advance Wars. The real-time strategy was always something I was into, like Command Conquer Red Alert. And this is a little different from that, but the one thing I do like is I like the whole setting. I like the historical, medieval stuff and everything. I think that's kind of cool, with catapults and castles and So it is a very good polished, solid game.
It's a polished game, yeah.
I'm looking at a future review right now. There's so much going on with it. I really couldn't give you I want to give you a really good review.
Yeah, you better play it before Tetris comes out, or you're never gonna get to it, dude.
That's what I'm saying. That was the problem. I mean, I probably shouldn't have grabbed it right now, but I wanted to make sure I did get it because I did want to give it a shot. But man, there's just so much depth to it.
Yeah, you don't want to get short-suited on picking some of these games up. You don't want it to be like frickin' Phoenix Wright, which we got some news for you about Phoenix Wright in our Touch and Go segment. But and the other thing that came out over the last week or two was Super Monkey Ball.
Yes, Monkey Balls is now available for your DS.
Yes, you can have balls on your DS, and you can. And in any game, let me put it this way, folks: any game that requires that you start the game by touching a monkey's ass, is destined for greatness. And I'll be honest with you, and we're going to give a full review of Monkey Ball because it deserves it. But stylus up from me right off the bat.
What was even funnier was I don't want to get too into this, but did you notice the shape of his butt?
No, I didn't really notice. It was like a heart shape or something.
I swear it's like a heart shape, but
nice.
It's like
Love your monkey. In any event,
we're gonna have a big review.
We're gonna have a big review.
I'm not even gonna go there because I'm gonna give a bigger review. You're gonna have to wait. I think probably in the next show we'll probably be covering this a little more.
Yeah, we have to because Monkey Ball's the bomb. I've been playing a lot of it. Monkey bowling mostly, but whatever. So
we have to get our monkey balls out there and just discuss them.
Yes, I like to hit my ball with a club. But no, seriously, folks. If you're looking for
balls.
if you're teetering on the brink and you're waiting to hear if we liked it or not, we like it.
We like it, yes.
And we'll tell you why later.
Yes.
So too much other show to talk about right now.
There's just too much going on.
Yeah, we got a big touch and go section to move on to. So we need to delve into this because I have a feeling that we could get windy on this one.
Yeah, I think you should take the first.
I'm going to take the first one.
Take the first one because I know it's something. It's a subject near and dear to your heart.
Near and dear to your heart, my heart. And this is, to me, this is one of those things. It's a double-edged sword. Most people, if you know anything about me, you know that I'm not a big fan of convergence. There are some things, just like a Game Boy Advance shouldn't be a web server. I'm not completely sure that the Nintendo DS needs to be a web browser.
Yeah.
And I come from the Navy days, dude. I spent 7 years in the Navy. And they had a term in the Navy which I consistently use. I didn't care for the Navy. Let's just be straight up with that. But they came up with a term called aces in their places. It was one of those, spirit-building, rah-rah, go team thing where, when you went to battle stations, they put all the people that were best at something in that place.
Uh-huh.
So it's not like, well, you do know how to run this piece of equipment, so when we really need you the most, we're going to put you somewhere else. So you're not going to necessarily want to use a Game Boy Advance as a web server. And does the Nintendo DS really make sense as a web browser? Well, in this case, and which really makes this hard for me, because everybody knows I'm a huge cheerleader for Opera, the Opera web browser. It is the number 3 web browser after IE and Firefox. And, I mean, how great can you be if you're number 3, right? But Chris has actually been getting into Opera, and he's...
I've been recently converted.
He's been converted.
Week or two, and it's growing on me. Really, it's to the point where it's now my default browser.
There you go.
And it's just now it's got me even more interested because it's coming out on the DS. So there's got to be a reason why, the Opera was chosen to play on the DS. There's got to be a reason for it.
Nintendo could have done it anyway, folks. They could have grabbed the source code to Firefox and put it on there at no charge to them.
They could have done it half-assed like they did with the PSP also.
Absolutely. I mean, they could have done it in-house. And Nintendo doesn't make web browsers. They make video games. They could have made some half-assed web browser. But Nintendo went out of their way to choose Opera. And because I'm such an Opera fiend, I'm going, yeah, this is the coolest thing ever. Then I'm going, oh, wait a minute. Would I even use a browser on the DS? Does that make any sense to me?
No, it doesn't.
And it doesn't really make sense. And I'm thinking, I'm torn. I'm so torn between wanting to plug the living crap out of this and say, yeah, Opera for the DS, baby. You love that.
Well, you know what? I'm going to give you my opinion.
Let Chris tell you.
Yes, my opinion. See, like you said, I don't agree with the whole convergence thing. This is not something I would say I'm looking forward to. But at the same time, will I try it out? Sure. But will I be using it as a like a browser around the house or something? Like, oh, I got to get on there and check the site. No, it's not going to be what it's for. I look at this release of the Opera browser for the DS as more of a, I don't want to, not a gimmick, but it's something that is just an added touch, so to speak, to the system. It's just something that's it's good. I mean, what a better way for just people who aren't really technically inclined or internet freaks or really, this is something good that maybe will bring people into the technology, of using what's available. I see it as using it for something like, I wonder what what my latest bid is for eBay right now. Things like that. Or I wouldn't be doing my banking. I wouldn't be doing my stock market, or my sports stuff or whatever on this thing. But I could easily see myself being out at like a restaurant or something and maybe, I wonder what the latest football score is, and typing in ESPN on my DS and having it pop up, I could see it for using things like that. It's not going to be anything hardcore. It's going to be reaching for those people that just don't just want to try it out. But
well, let me tell you one thing though, and this is something.
It's got no Java support. We got to get that out of the way.
There's
no
very
Flash
limited
support.
No Flash support. No.
I don't even know if
support.
you're going to be able to run. I actually, from what I heard, though, you will be able to check your Gmail on it. So
it's got to support JavaScript.
Yeah.
And and let's be honest, Opera is on tons of handhelds already. Portable phones and handhelds. It pretty much owns the handheld market in terms of browsers. It makes it a good choice to move over here. But let me tell you, there's one important key thing. A lot of people, and me included, I already told you how I feel. I'm kind of sketchy about the concept of a browser being on here. Mm-hmm. But number one, they could have made a lot worse decision. I mean, it was going to happen. People want to do crap with stuff that shouldn't be doing. Wait a minute. I almost talked myself into a corner there. People want to take a cell phone and listen to music on it. People want to take, they want convergence. Somebody's going to provide it, whether you like it or not. Now, I am very happy that Nintendo is not embedding this into the DS.
Yeah.
It is a third-party add-on, and that's exactly where it belongs. In that respect, if they'd have built it into the firmware, I'd have been pissed. Yeah. Because that is Nintendo saying we no longer are making just a game machine. We are catering to convergence people.
Exactly.
I hate that. But the fact that it's third-party, I'm cool. The fact that it's Opera, that's even more cool. But let me tell you why you should care about there being a browser for the DS. And this is actually really important. If you take your DS down at home and you've got a Wi-Fi hooked up, you can hop on and play on the Wi-Fi. No problem. If you go down to McDonald's, hop on their free Wi-Fi spot, play Mario Kart, that's cool. If you go to Starbucks or a hotspot, a T-Mobile hotspot in the airport, you cannot use your DS to get online, even if you're willing to pay for it. The Opera browser should, and I don't have any proof of this, should allow you to access those hotspots. And let me explain why this is important. When you go into Starbucks, they have an open-ended wireless access point, which in other words, if you go into your DS and you say search for an access point, it'll find it. And it's unlocked. And you're sitting there thinking, all right. But you try to connect to it, and it doesn't work. And the reason why it doesn't work is because they require you to authenticate through a web page to activate the internet access to that machine. If you're on a laptop, it's fine. You bring up a web browser, you point to tmobile.com or whatever, and you're on. You type in your login and password that they give you at the front desk, and you're on. The DS has no way of entering that information.
So you're thinking this is going to replace you getting onto without having the laptop, right? You're going to actually be able to use the built-in Opera to log in and therefore be able to play your game.
Damn Skippy. Yeah. That's going to allow you – this is going to open up the DS to airports, which are almost exclusively here in the United States, T-Mobile hotspots. Yeah. It's going to get you online at Starbucks. It's going to get you online at Barnes & Noble. It's going to get
we
you
have a place around here at Panera Bread. That's another one.
Yeah, and there's tons of, like, cyber cafes that have access points.
Especially in India.
Yeah, but they all use this same web-based authentication. And right now, there's absolutely no way to do that on the DS.
Yeah, you're kind of locked out from that point, yeah.
Yeah, so that is, no matter what you think of being able to browse the web, being able to connect to the web and play your games, Opera's going to make that possible. And
now, I'm wondering if this Opera cartridge is going to have the same kind of Wi-Fi connection that Mario Kart and like Tony Hawk and Animal Crossing have. The whole Wi-Fi setup.
I'm assuming so.
I assume it's just going to use it. It's going to just run itself off that, right? Cause I guess that's going to probably be embedded on the cartridge. I mean, the thing is, right now we don't even know if this is coming to the U.S. I'm sure it will.
That's
I'm
absolutely true.
It's got to come to the U.S. But I think the thing is it's going to be more of a casual thing. I mean, you're not going to be able to do anything hardcore with it. And like you said, I think it's great that it isn't built into the firmware because that's not what this thing's about. Ultimately, it's a gaming device.
Absolutely.
Is this cool? Yeah. Is it necessary? No.
No.
But it's certainly neat. And one other thing. Let's bring this up. The way that you interact with it is really fascinating. I mean,
it is.
You got this. You got to realize this is a pretty fairly low resolution screen here, and these websites aren't going to look the best on a DS screen. I mean, well, how is this going to be possible? How are you going to look at these, especially some of these sites with this ultra-fine font size? Well, the way it works is your bottom screen is actually the website. You take the stylus, wherever you point over, wherever you hover over with the stylus, it's going to show up on the top screen, expanded and enlarged.
Think of the magnifying tool in Windows XP.
Exactly.
Same
and
idea.
Factor that in with the power of Opera's magnification and stretching abilities of zoom in,
And they've got their own built-in. I mean, this is why every embedded device that's portable uses Opera, because their rendering engine has built-in small screen rendering support that intelligently takes a website and crunches it to fit a lap-type device. And
I really like that.
It's a brilliant thing, and you can actually do that if you're an Opera user. I can't remember the hotkey off the top of my head, but you can actually.
For shame.
You can actually push a key, and it will render whatever screen you're looking at as if you were looking at it on a portable device. That's what you're going to see on the DS. And
that's really cool.
That's way cool. And, and again, like Chris said, is it necessary? For me, absolutely not. Why? Because I'm always within hitting of a hotspot. Whether I'm at work, I've got access to a hotspot. If I'm at home, I have access to a hotspot. I don't travel. I'm not en route all the time. I'm not a business flyer. But for those people who have no Wi-Fi at home, so they're always going to McDonald's, if these are people that travel a lot, that you sit in airports with layovers for 2 and 3 hours.
Oh, I could totally see it for
that.
Dude,
this is your savior. You will be able to get on T-Mobile's hot. I'm pretty sure. I don't want anyone coming back and saying, Shane, I bought Opera and I can't get on T-Mobile. That's the limitation of getting on T-Mobile, is having a browser. Now we've got a browser, or we will. And along with this, I know what you're thinking, too, if you're thinking ahead, is, well, wait a minute, there's no, cache or, how are we going to handle being able to, have a cache and have some kind of speed?
That was always the big dispute for it. I mean, when everybody was, even when the thing came out, everybody wanted some kind of awesome PDA features to be included with this thing, like a date book or email function or what have you, okay? None of that was out there. There was rumors that Nintendo was working on something, but it really never came through, and that was the big thing. Well, everybody was like, well, wait a minute. Even if there is a web browser for this thing, how is it going to be possible, based around the fact that the DS only has about 4 megabytes of internal RAM space?
There you go.
What are you going to fit on that? Not much, especially
much.
nowadays. Some of these websites are humungical. I mean,
that's a good word, humungical. I like that.
Well, how is that possible? But it looks like the thing's going to come with some kind of an expansion pack. There's not a whole lot of information out there. This is all new stuff, so I'm sure in the future we'll be able to update it with a little more news and knowledge. But for now, we got word that they're going to be using the Game Boy Advance port, and it's going to serve as a memory expansion pack for what we assume would be the cache, or wonder what the possibilities are. You'll actually be able to download something. I don't know if you'll be able to do that or not.
That would be cool if you could actually, go to a website and download, a PDF or something onto it. Or something.
I don't know if I see that happening.
I don't see it probably happening, but if
this is Nintendo. It's going to be simple.
It's going to be simple. There's going to be super simple.
There's no Flash involved or anything like that. This is just
no Java. Those are the fat things, dude.
I think it's got to have, like you said before, it's got to have some limited Java, but I don't think it's a full-fledged Java engine.
It'll be like JavaScript. We'll get JavaScript. Yeah. We won't get Java.
Now,
it'll be like WebTV.
On the other hand, how much space does a Game Boy Advance cartridge hold? I don't know.
It all depends on how big of chips they want to put in it. They can make it as big as they want.
I guess they could. I think the limit right now for a Game Boy Advance game, isn't it something like, I want to say 12 megs or something like that?
There is actually a limit in terms of how big a Game Boy Advance game can be, but that's only to address it in GBA mode. Who knows what's possible?
Right.
To address it in straight Nintendo DS mode. This is all speculation, folks.
Yeah.
So we don't really know. And there was even rumors that I've heard that the memory expansion pack won't ship over here, even though Opera will in the United States.
That's weird.
And that's kind of weird. But in essence, what happens is Opera becomes your gateway to T-Mobile, and that's it, or your gateway to coffee shops. And it's not going to come for free. It's not going to be built into the firmware. It's going to be kind of a niche product. But, with PlayStation Portable people screaming, oh, we got web browser, even though it totally sucks nads.
Somebody had to shut them up.
Somebody had to shut them up. We're tired of being outdone poorly by other platforms, so somebody was going to do it. And we have something else to talk about with regards to convergence here in a few minutes.
Yeah, the thing is, though, who cares, though? I mean, nobody said that it had to be done in the first place. I think up to now, it started out a little rough, but I think up to now, the DS is pretty much speaking for itself in terms of the amount of games that are out there.
Eat your crow,
it doesn't even need an Opera, or a web browser or anything. It's just a cherry on top for people that are interested. You got something.
Now, let me tell you what I do possibly see happening, and this is something that just occurred to me. I could totally see Nintendo building a special website that completely interacts directly with Opera on the DS, allows you to download demos and play them on the memory expansion.
Oh, that would be so cool.
I'm telling you, there are...
So cool.
Nintendo's got something up their sleeve with it. I just don't know what it is yet, because they would not be backing something that was so casual. So we'll see what happens. I don't want to talk any more about that. We're like burning up huge time here. We
still got a lot to talk about. We're going to have to keep going here. But it's got to be known, and it looks like it's going to be a really cool thing. And
we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
God only knows what that memory expansion pack could be used for, too. I'm thinking that this would also I just said I wasn't going to talk about it, but here we go.
All right, go ahead.
I could see if Nintendo really did, or some third party really did want to produce contact management software or something goofy like that, PDA stuff, that this memory expansion pack might be usable for that as well.
Right.
So who knows? But anyway, whatever. Let's move on. I think the next one's for you, Chris.
Okay, yeah. Well, it looks like according to EB Games website again. Wow, talk about that. Two little news bites for involving new EB Games. We're not endorsing them necessarily, but it's mostly to point out where you people who may be interested can maybe pick something like this up. It looks like there's going to be an Animal Crossing bundle for the Nintendo DS. Nintendo's releasing another bundle, much like the Mario Kart bundle that they released back in November, only this time it's going to be Animal Crossing, a game that I really still don't see at the stores much anymore. So if your kid's jonesing for a copy of Animal Crossing and they don't have a DS, this may be your best bet to getting it. It's going to be $149. So once again, you're going to be saving a few bucks, much like you did with the Mario Kart. Animal Crossing is $34.99. A DS is $129. So you're going to save a few bucks there.
And I'm sure there'll be some, limited edition crap like stickers and whatnot for the Animal Crossing sluts to put all over
I'm not
their
really
DS.
sure. I didn't see anything to indicate that, but it's going to be coming out next week.
First week of March, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be actually March 1st. It's going to be a release. It looks like it's going to be only in the electric blue. I'm not positive, but that's what the signs point to, electric blue DS color. So there you have it. If you're still interested in a DS and you're interested in Mario or Animal Crossing, this is for you. I mean, basically, my wife, that's the only reason she bought a DS. Animal Crossing.
There you go.
That's how I get away with all my DS gaming, because she's got one too, so she can't turn around and say.
That's right. My wife had to have her own when she saw Nintendo, so same idea.
Plus, we have 2 different towns we can jump to.
That's right.
It's great.
Next up on the list, a lot of people, including the two of us, are dying for the new Super Mario Brothers, which has been getting mad press lately. And we got there's been a lot of new trailers that have been posted to show more gameplay, more of some of the in-depth stuff that's going to be in there. And we're going to provide you with a link to a couple of these in our link section on the download page.
Yeah, so check that out. We're going to have links to some of this stuff.
Yeah, you guys are going to lose your minds. If you're all interested in this new Super Mario Brothers, wait till you see these videos. I was just floored. I just can't wait.
Now, you know what? Speaking of this game, do you think they're going to actually change the name? Do you think this is the definitive name for this game? Nintendo Power's calling it New Super Mario.
I know. I think that's what the name's actually called. That's what I keep seeing.
I don't get it. It almost sounds goofy enough to be a Japanese game.
I know. I mean, exactly. The literal translation. Yeah.
Yeah.
New Super Mario. But I don't know. I don't care what it's called, to be honest with you. Names don't mean a damn thing to me. They could call it.
It's just a little weird.
Crap in a box. You're right, though. I mean,
I was expecting like Super Mario Brothers 5. Super Mario Brothers Advance, something, with 2 different colons involved. Like Game Boy Advance, they've got Super Mario Brothers 4, Super Mario Brothers World. It's insane. All these.
Well, actually, I kind of am glad that they're not. I mean, this sort of shows a departure from the original series, but not enough. I mean, not enough to where, you're saying, oh, this is like a totally different game. But I mean, I'll tell you what. If you guys have the opportunity, if you get Nintendo Power. A lot of people are like, ooh, Nintendo Power, man, that stinks. You know what, though? I got to tell you, I remember reading old issues of Nintendo Power, and the new magazine, as of, I think, 6 or 8 months ago, like they changed management or something.
Yeah, it was like towards the end of the year or so last year.
And I'll tell you what, Nintendo Power is the only magazine that I really care for in terms of Nintendo news. It's not all kiddie anymore. It's not all slanted to, no Nintendo first-party game could ever suck, and these guys will really tell you if a game sucks or not.
It's gotten really good. I mean,
I
subscribed, and
me too.
If you have 3 DS games, or if you have the DS and a couple games, you go to the website and you register and you yourself and then register those 3 games, you can get a 3-month subscription to this magazine.
Yeah, for free.
It's
totally
really nice.
And it's $12 a year if you just want to pay for it.
You can't beat that.
What, $1 a magazine? Go find that anywhere. I mean,
you know what? If anything, just even if you cut the reviews out of it, and I gotta be honest, reviews are only a small part of that magazine.
Yes.
If you just buy it, if you have any kind of love for the DS. There's really not much left to love for the GameCube, unfortunately. But the DS, it's made for the previews alone. That $1 a month for that issue is worth it.
It's totally worth it. People are paying $20 a month to play EverQuest. You can pay $1 a month and get Nintendo Power.
And you know what? They got a really cool article this month about brain training, which is going to be Brain Age.
Excellent.
And New Super Mario Brothers, they got a nice little spread for that. And last month, a nice little spread for Metroid Prime Hunters. And,
where this was all leading, by the way, before I totally get swiped again here, is there's an interview with with one of the guys that's the main lead producer of the new Super Mario Brothers, and it's an interview, and he tells you a lot about what are they thinking about, what's where's the game based on, what kind of power-ups are there going to be.
Yeah.
It's a good article, and if you have the means to get to it, I mean, okay, even if you got to just go to the store and pick the mag up and pretend you're browsing through it, just read that article. That's a good representation of the sort of thing that the new Nintendo Power has in it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it's a great little interview. It doesn't give away too much, but I have drool spots on the page because
this game's gonna be really cool. I think a lot of people are looking for it. As I said earlier, there is a void there for something like this. I mean, there really isn't anything like a old-fashioned 2D side-scroller, although there's some 3D elements. Princess Peach, I was talking about that earlier. That's a little something that tides you over, but this is the real deal here. This is the full course, you know. This is the main course of the two. I mean, Princess Peach is more of an appetizer to this big bad boy here, you know.
Yeah, and Princess Peach also kind of courts the feminine wiles of video gaming, and I think that's kind of cool too because you know Nintendo is sort of targeting a larger group of people now than just like adolescent boys.
Yeah, they're going after everybody, especially in Japan. They're showing all these housewives now playing the branch rating.
Yeah, and that's by the way due to be released on May 7th. According to
Super Mario Brothers
Nintendo Power.
Yeah, May 7th. I mean, I think a lot of people are shocked to actually get a release date now.
I'm just so stoked. And by the way, that interview, and this is something that I had a specific question about. Why did you choose to go 3D instead of 2D? Which is, you know, traditionally what I would expect to see. And he actually answers that question, you know, to my satisfaction. So that's just another little plug for that particular interview, which I thought was really cool. Okay. Do you want me to talk about this next piece here?
Sure, go
Chris?
for it. Go for it.
There's not a lot of information about this, and right now it's vaporware. But we've been talking on and on about the DS and its competitiveness with the PlayStation Portable as a media device. And again, I'm no fan. For me, I've got a Nintendo DS, and I've got the quirky little Korean handheld, the GP2X, which handles all my media needs, MP3s, videos, and stuff. So I have like zero interest at all in this particular product. But they are making an adapter. It's not really an adapter. It's like a bolt-on. That's the best word. It's not really an expansion cartridge because it's almost too big.
It's almost like a proton pack for your DS.
It's a proton pack for the DS. Absolutely perfect. Thank you, Chris. It is what they call a media drive, a 4 gigabyte media drive, which promises basically to turn your DS into a PSP in terms of watching movies, MP3s, doing all that media stuff. And 4 gigs is quite a bit of room.
Yeah, they've actually got something similar to this out already for the PSP.
Right. I think it's the same company, actually, that does the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's going to be one of those things where it's like, and I know, you know, and I don't get it. There are tons of people I know right now that are chomping at the bit to get this product. You know?
I don't know. I have no desire for it.
It's not my gig. But, you know, for those of you who are, like, sick and tired of your PSP buddies handing you over their PSP with frickin' Napoleon Dynamite playing on it, you can play Napoleon Dynamite now on your DS. Whatever.
Oh, by the way, it's going to be, what, $189, $199?
Yeah, oh, my God. You could buy a whole GP2X for that. That's insane, dude. I can't do it. I'm at a loss. You want to catch this next one? You know more about this game than I do.
Yeah, it's actually something that's come up recently. It looks like Majesco, sort of what they did with Age of Empires, which is also a Microsoft entity.
Yeah, really creepy, right?
Yeah, it was a little odd. Well, it looks like they're going to be digging into the Microsoft coffers again and digging out MechAssault. MechAssault has 2 different games for the Xbox. I was a big fan of them, especially the first one. You know, not necessarily for the online play. I really didn't play it online, but it was a really fun game. I had a lot of fun just walking around my mech and blowing them up and killing things and destroying the buildings. And, you know, it's mayhem, pure mayhem. It's coming out for the DS. And from the early screenshots that have been out there, well, maybe we can see if we can get some links for them on the site. Yeah,
we'll get you some links for that.
Yeah. It's really looking pretty impressive. It looks like a little shrunk-down version of MechAssault for the Xbox, a la what you had for FIFA. It's like a little shrunk-down version. The bottom screen, it's not really doing much right now. It's basically a black screen, but then again, these are very early shots. Just from what's shown, though, it looks really impressive. It looks fully 3D. I mean, you get the same behind-the-view shot of the mech as you're rampaging around destroying things. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to see how it really branches out, and hopefully we'll get some better screenshots eventually. I'm going to look forward to it. I feel pretty good about it. And Majesco is going to be releasing that. I think it's coming out sometime at the end of this year. I'm not positive.
Yeah, we'll get more information for that as we get it.
Yeah, I just thought that was cool, though. I mean, I'm really looking forward to checking that out and seeing how it is. It would be cool if there was some Wi-Fi involved, but I'm not counting on it.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
But as for my opinion is concerned on that one, mech games have never done absolutely anything for me. So I could just care less, to be honest with you. But
well, you know, I'll be honest with you there. I was never a big Mech Warrior fan, which is basically what they're trying to do with this. MechAssault, a lot of people are crying foul when it came out because it wasn't a simulation. It's all action. There's people that played Mech Warrior on the PC all these years. It's a long-standing series, same as Age of Empires, and a lot of people were upset about that being, turn-based instead of real-time. And much like this is going from simulation to pure action. Now, I was never a big, Mech Warrior player. I never really played much. I dabbled in a demo once or twice over the years. This was back in the late 90s. A lot of people are kind of crying foul about it. But you know what? It's regardless. If it's fun and it's good, and that's all that matters. I mean, just accept it for what it is. I mean, there really hasn't been too many games that stray like this. I think give it a shot first. I know I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to look at it. I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, it's a mech game.
But
I'm
I
not going to play it. But
I'm not a big sim fan.
Like you said though, some of these mech fans are like so freaking
rabid.
rabid.
Yeah.
It's like it's like, just dude, chill out, man. Come
I
on.
need 50 buttons, man. This isn't going to work.
This is not a realistic mech simulator. I don't have 5 switches and 2 slides, and it's like, dude, this ain't the Dave and Buster's mech sim, dude. This is the DS. So sim it down. Why don't you take the next one too? Because I think this was your article, and I don't have a lot of details.
Well, I know it looks like Nintendo. Not necessarily Nintendo, but Nintendo started the whole brain age thing. It's a big mayhem riot over in Japan right now. It's selling millions of copies.
It holds like number 2 and number 3 positions right now, or something like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and only recently, and it's only to like Animal Crossing. In Animal Crossing, it's competing against other DS games.
But yeah. Just to note, that's not competing against the top 10 DS games. That's all games. These brain games are like the number 2 selling game across any handheld or console in
we're
Japan.
Talking PS2.
I've lost my mind with that.
PSP, everything. I mean, even way at the bottom with the Xbox 360. That's not even on the charts over there. It's
unbelievable.
Amazing. But this game is just blowing up the charts. So, of course, all these other companies are trying to jump on the bandwagon. I don't have specific names for the companies. I've seen a lot of screenshots, but you're going to want to keep an eye out. There's obviously the copycats are on their way. Now, whether these are any good, we don't know. It's still too early. We haven't even gotten the original brain training over here yet. That's going to be coming out, though, very soon. I think it's April. I think around April, actually.
Yeah, I think it was May or April that it was coming out.
Yeah, because there's actually 2 different games. Yeah, I can't wait.
There's so much crap to buy.
But there's other companies that are trying to jump in there. Now, whether these are coming to America, I'm not really sure. I do know there's a crossword game. There's another Sudoku game coming out in Japan. I know that actually even Sony's jumping in on the bandwagon now.
Yeah, I heard there's a PSP brain game thing coming too. That's way funny. I want to see people like answering math questions using
the analog.
Analog, yeah.
It'll be like an Etch-a-Sketch.
That's gonna be awesome. What can I tell you? So I'm totally stoked about brain games completely. I played the E3 demo, and even though it was like all in Japanese and you had to like dink around a lot with it, I had a great time. And even though you're solving simple problems, 11 plus 5, it really does stimulate your brain. I mean, this isn't some goofy, buzzword sort of thing. It's like this actually works. I mean, you actually feel more alert and all that. It's all true. I mean, just from the little tiny bit that I've played.
So, what do you think there? What do you think? Day one, brain training. You gonna pick it up?
Oh, definitely. The fact that it's going to come out budget too. It's going to be $19.99.
Yeah.
There's a no-brainer right there.
And people are going to be buying it just for the Sudoku alone. There's going to be Sudoku.
That's going to be insane. And that and a lot of and don't forget, this is also a great parental title. I mean, this is one of those ones where parents are going to say, "Oh, look, an edutainment game."
Yeah, there's no 50 cent involved in this sucker.
Dude, I'm telling you, parents alone will buy this title in droves just to get their kids to do something.
Now, the next question I want to ask you: the day you pick this up, you gonna go for the strategy guide?
We talked. Did we talk about this last month?
Yeah.
About needing a strategy guide.
I'm dying for Prima to come out with some kind of strategy guide for this sucker. I foresee myself having problems with those math questions.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah. Oh, did you see? This is something that I did not know about. There's actually going to be microphone play involved.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, you haven't read that article yet?
No, I just actually got it yesterday, and I've been at work all day. So
this is awesome. There is microphones where you actually speak things that they tell. Let me give you an example. They put a word up on the screen, like the word blue. but the letters are in yellow color. You're supposed to tell them what color the letters are. And if you look at the screenshots that they show you in the game, your mind makes you say blue.
Yeah.
Even though it's actually yellow. This is all like old psychology
that's
stuff.
funny. Yeah, that's
and
really
you
cool.
actually speak it into the DS, and they can tell whether or not you said the word or not. So there's voice recognition and speech. Dude, I totally fall for that crap every time, too. I looked at the screens, and I'm like, I'm looking at it trying to say yellow. It's like Jim Carrey in Liar Liar when he was trying to say what color the pen was. Dude, that's exactly how I felt, dude. I could not compel myself to say yellow. I wanted to keep saying blue.
Oh, see, then that's you're one of the people that the strategy guys made for.
You need to know. Yeah, that's so funny, strategy guy.
Anyway, well, let's move along here. Let's see if we can get this sucker going here. The next little bit we got here is Wi-Fi voice chat is now going to be available in Metroid Prime Hunters. So basically, during the lobby setup, I assume it's going to be a little bit similar to Mario Kart. You know, when you're sitting there waiting for your buddies to join in and everything, you got nothing to do. You know, and the game would actually have to time out on its own. Well, we already mentioned in the last show how you're going to actually be able to stop the timer, and you're going to just be able to start the game at any time. You don't have to wait around for another person. You know, say me and Shane want to just get down and throw down a little Metroid Prime Hunters, you know. We don't have to wait for another couple goofballs that we don't really know or maybe in our friends lists that aren't even available to join in. We can cut the game and get going. And while we are sitting there screwing around, we can actually talk in the lobby now using the microphone. We're going to actually be able to talk in the lobby, which is going to be really cool because it seems to me it would be really neat in that you'll be able to set up some options for the game. You know, say you want to play a specific match. Now, I don't really know how this is all going to work out. It's not out yet, but going by past online first-person shooters, you know, you're able to sit there and figure out what match do you want to play, what kind of match. What kind of scenario, what kind of map. And I would think you'd be able to discuss this with the other players, you know, to get an idea of what you guys want to play. You know, I think that would be really cool. Now, be aware, this is not during the game itself. It's only going to be during the lobby, you know, when you're setting the game up, the pre-game lobby. So that's really cool that Nintendo is actually going forward and doing something like this. It's another suggestion that I know a lot of people were dying to get in a game, you know, and I think people speaking up about, you know, how to make the Wi-Fi experience better is really going to help in terms of getting Nintendo to listen and incorporate these new features.
Yeah, and to add on to that, too, apparently the lobby and the selection system is going to be more similar to traditional online services. It's not going to be where you get to pick, like, friends, friends, regional, world, and that's it. Yeah. But you'll actually be able to have a little more control. And also, when the game is over, you're all dumped back into the lobby, and you guys can talk post-game about stuff, too. And a lot of people are like, well, it's pointless. I want to talk smack during the game. And it's like, let me paint a picture why that's not a good idea.
You do not want to do that. I can paint a perfect picture, being that I played Halo 2 for quite a long time, and I'm telling you what, half the time, the mute button's on, okay? Unless it's with somebody I know, like mainly like family members or close friends that I know that want to play seriously, and normally that thing's on mute. Okay, otherwise forget it. I don't even have the thing plugged in half the time. We do not need voice chat during the game. You know, there's no kind of. The only time it was even reasonably important is when you were actually playing with somebody who wanted to do some real strategy. You know, in team format, like, okay, man, you go up there and I'll cover you. You know, or something like that.
I can see it for SOCOM, you know.
Yeah, but something like this, you're only going to be able to play 4 people as it is. You know, so it's not like you're going to be thinking up some kind of great big strategy with only 2 people. You know, it's just going to be a run and gun situation, I think. You're not going to have 16 people that you need to kind of coerce with, you know, or converse with, rather. Yeah. It's just it seems a little nonsense. I mean, having before and after that's great. I mean, that's when we used to do all our chatting anyway.
And let me explain from a technological point why you do not want voice chat inside this game. Right now, the Nintendo Wi-Fi service is free. There's no fees. There's no sign up. You get it free at McDonald's. I mean, a lot of people are going to start taking this for granted. And I'm telling you right now that adding voice over IP to a huge game like this will double the requirements for their servers, their bandwidth, and everything else. If you want to get the Nintendo Wi-Fi service to become Xbox Live and charging you $15 a month, continue to beg for voice chat inside of games. Because that's what's going to cause the system to go from free, no matter where you are, to, oh, well, if you want to chat inside of games, we need to beef up our servers, we need to split up. So it's going to start costing you. Screw that. I do not want to be on the tail end of that deal. You know what I'm saying? I want Nintendo Wi-Fi to be free. To me, that's how you get engaged. And so that's kind of the other side of that. Not only because why do you want to hear a bunch of people talking smack?
Right.
And also
Calling
the other thing,
words.
too, what's that?
Or call you bad words.
Or call me bad words. Oh, speaking of which, the other thing that I've heard, too, is, and this, again, is rumor mill, is that voice chat will only be engaged. You'll be able to play anybody. But voice chat will only be engaged between people who are trusted. You're on my friend list. I'm on your friend list. We can chat. If Joe Pedophile from Jersey, not that Jersey has pedophiles, but you get the idea. If Joe Pedophile Jersey is online and he happens to wander into your kid's lobby, he can't talk to your kid because he's not on your friend list, on your kid's friend list. So there will be parental-type restrictions like that, and I'm totally for that, dude.
100%.
I don't even want to hear these losers, man. I don't want to hear them anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. There's something else I really wanted to mention, but due to the time constraints, I don't know if I want to bring it up. But you bring it up now, and now it's making me think about it even more. Recently in our area, we had a news story on the local news about that. How this. I'll try to do it real quick. Sum it up. It really wasn't the best information. It was actually a lot of raw information. And
is this the child molester DS thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is important. You should talk about that.
The little girl, there was this big hoopla. All day they were advertising it since I got home from work. Oprah's on. Coming up next in Action News, your DS, your Nintendo DS, it's the hot new toy all the kids are playing. But did you realize it's a danger lurking in your home? So, it's like everybody's getting worked up over it. That was the big story. So I'm like, all right, now I got to see what this is. It's 11 o'clock news. I'm in bed normally. I got to stay up and see this. This is important. I mean, Nintendo is on the Action News here. Come on. So I got to check this out. So we put it on. Of course, they put it on in the middle. They can't just come out with it. You got to go through all the crap first. And I'm dozing off. But here it comes on. And I could not believe what I was watching. It was obviously a person that had no idea of what this thing was.
What, the media being misinformed during a news story? Say it's not so.
First of all, the fact that only children are playing with this thing was ridiculous to begin with. We're well beyond our children's stage at this point, at least physically.
Yeah.
And, basically the whole point is this little girl was out with dinner with her, I believe just her mother, and it looked like she was sitting there and I don't know why, but she was playing with Pick-to-Chat by herself. Okay, I'm not. First of all, this doesn't make any sense to me. This is why it makes me think it's a setup. They were in this little. They had a picture. They showed her playing with it, and they had the names blurred out on the Pick-to-Chat to conceal identities, I guess. But the little girl sitting there, what looked like a little bar and tavern, kind of like a Bennigan's or a TGI Fridays kind of place. She's sitting there, and supposedly, all of a sudden, she was getting these little messages through her Pick-to-Chat, which, mind you, once again, as far as I could tell, she was playing by herself. I guess she was doodling. I don't know, but they didn't really go into it. Normally, it's a multiplayer thing. And she was getting these obscene things from another person in the area on her Pick-to-Chat. Basically, it started out with a simple hello, and, what's your name, and so forth. How old are you? And
what are you wearing?
Yeah, well, not quite.
I know.
The guy waited a few more messages before he wrote that one out. But anyway, what are your favorite? Meanwhile, a little girl's just saying, yeah, hi, and she said, what games do you like to play? While the guy is asking her basically what her bust size is, even though she's only 10 years old.
Nice.
So, real good stuff. So, they're sitting there saying, your child is liable to get messages from all over the world and all over the internet on their DS system through this chat program. I'm thinking that's totally wrong. First of all, it's line of sight more or less. I mean, what's the range on this thing? 60 feet?
I've actually gotten 150 feet with Pick-to-Chat, but that's still, that's
it doesn't
local
matter.
area, dude.
Okay, basically, of course, next thing they do, they flashed over, and there's the distressed mother nearly in tears. I can't believe this happened to my daughter, and I'm sitting there thinking, this is ridiculous. First of all, if somebody's doing this, they're in the same room as that person, and it would be easy enough just to stand up and say, okay, who's sending obscene messages to my daughter? You know, and I just thought it was ridiculous. The whole,
you
the
know,
whole story.
you get those. You get. I mean, I guess
so
it's
much
testimony.
wrong information. So much wrong information.
It's testimony to how popular the DS is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing. I mean, you got to put a positive spin on this somewhere because the rest of it's all hogwash. But
I think the thing that bothered me was it was centered around that system.
Yeah.
And then finally, at the very end of it, they said, "Please be aware that this can happen to other electronic systems."
Yeah.
But they don't actually say what those other systems were. They narrowed it down to this one.
Yeah, that's
but
crazy
like you said,
talk.
It just didn't make any sense. And,
you know, that's just standard media sensationalism. And you know what's really scary is that people buy buy into this stuff. I'll segue a little bit more. I mean, we're going to get to the rest of this stuff real quick, but I was sitting in IHOP playing my DS coincidentally, and 2 tables over, this kid was playing a GBA SP, right? He was playing it, and it went dead while he was playing it. And I just sat here with my mouth open, folks. I don't even know how I can even say this without laughing my ass off. He's like, "Oh, it went dead," or "Oh crap, it's dead," or something like that. And the mom said straight up, I'm not making this up. You can't make stuff like this up. It's too good. She says, "Well, how long did you leave it plugged in for when you charged it? Maybe somebody sent you a virus. Are you sure it's the batteries? Are you sure it's not a virus that did it?" And I just wanted to go over and take a plate and wrap this woman upside the head. And then I wanted her children taken from her. You know, I don't know. I wanted to call DHCP or DCS or DHS, whatever it is. I couldn't believe.
I see your point, though. It's the ignorance of technology.
I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, what you said was bad, but this is even horrible.
It's scary for a lot of people.
I don't know, dude. They're sort of on the same vein. I like telling stories, so there you have it. But anyway.
Why don't you take the next story there? Let's move this along.
Yeah, let's move it along. Thank you for moving us along. Go for it.
Oh, well, I wanted to talk about the DS kiosks.
Oh, well, let me talk about the one before that then. We got a whole list of crap here to talk about. We don't want to miss out.
You take that one. You don't want to. I think you put this one on here.
I did. And, you know, I know nothing about this
story.
Game. I don't know anything about this game. I don't even know what the original game was like. I don't even know how you pronounce it. Boktai?
That sounds good to me.
Boktai, yeah. This is apparently real popular.
Probably
game.
Klingon for something.
Yeah. Boktai. Yeah. You need to send the Vulcan up. No. But apparently this original game for the Game Boy Advance, real popular game apparently. I don't know why I never heard of it. This game shipped much like WarioWare Twisted with an add-on piece of hardware inside the cartridge. At some point in time in the game, in order to I'm sure someone's going to write in and tell us what the hell's going on, but in order to charge your power back up, or inside the game, I'm talking not like your battery, but inside the game, in order to regain health or to recharge your internal, mantras or whatever, you had to physically take your Game Boy outside so that sunlight could hit a little sunlight sensor on the cartridge. And that's the only way that you could power yourself back up, is to go outside. I mean, I guess people thought that kids need to be outside more and get more fresh air, and that's how they drove them out there. But apparently, I don't know, man. I don't even know where to start with that. But apparently the DS version, which is apparently highly anticipated, what do you think about that? Apparently, during the game, the top screen will be used to simulate environment. So while you're playing the game, apparently time will pass on the top screen. And when the sun is out, just like on Animal Crossing, it has day and night.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's going to use the internal clock, I guess.
Right, apparently, or something.
Yeah.
When it turns daytime, you'll be able to close the DS, and it will simulate sunlight being placed on the touch screen, I guess, and that will let you recharge during these daylight hours. I know that sounds crazy, but I was like, this is just way too weird for me not to mention.
It's beyond my comprehension.
It's beyond. Yes. And let me tell you one thing, though, about something similar to that, which I thought was brilliant, so maybe this will be brilliant, too, is in Trace Memory. Have you played Trace Memory yet?
Played a little bit, not too much.
Yeah, my wife was a slut for that game.
It really wasn't doing it for me.
Yeah, it's a Myst game is what it is.
And that's why it wasn't doing it for me. I never liked Myst.
But this is totally brilliant, dude. So, there's a puzzle where you get a clean piece of wood on the bottom screen, And you're just sitting there. You have no idea what the hell to do with it. It's one of those puzzles where, like I was talking about earlier, where you spend an hour and a half, you don't know what's going on, you can't figure it out.
Gets frustrating.
This is crazy. The top screen apparently had some sort of like a cattle brand. You know, like you brand cattle with? You put it in the fire and then you brand the cattle's ass? The point is, in order to solve the puzzle, you had to close the DS, and the cattle brand on the top screen would burn into the wood of the bottom screen to brand the wood. And I thought, you know what? That's actually kind of clever. I mean, my wife couldn't figure it out. It took her hours to figure it out. And I think she figured it out accidentally because she got frustrated and closed the DS. And I'm thinking, okay, I guess that's actually kind of cool. And that's why when I saw this, I'm thinking, I wonder if this could be cool too. But I don't know. Maybe somebody can write in about this whole Sunlight and Boktai, about what that's all about. I'd be love to hear more about it.
I honestly never played it. I do know that in the original game that whenever the sunlight would hit the little sensor in the cartridge, basically you build up this little power. And,
okay, I wasn't too far off then.
And you have a little meter, and it's something like, depending on how long you were out in the sun, you're gonna be able to build up that power and how much you're gonna have left when you're in a dark situation. So I guess you charge it up while you're in the sun, and you got to take it with you. When you're laying in bed, you got to go with what you have left in the charger.
Yeah, I guess so. I
honestly am kind of clueless about the game, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say.
All right, well, let's move along then. That's your
I'll have to do some more research,
sort of thing. Yeah. Let's go on to the next one, because the next one's very, very important. I tell you what, I am like stoked totally for this. Go ahead, give them this is your deal.
Well, let's see. Nintendo DS kiosks are now being set up in the Electronics Boutique, or EB Games section stores there, GameStop and Best Buy. And basically you're going to be able to get demos from them now. Not demos, so to speak, demos that you're playing in the store on their DS, but you're actually going to be able to download them to your system and leave the store. So, true swing golf, you want to try it, or, you don't have it, or you don't have anybody who can send you the demo from their copy. You go in the store, it looks like, according to what we've seen so far in Japan, they've had some new screenshots of this. It's got a listing of some demos of some games on the new DS Lites, and you're able to touch the demo and play them. I'm assuming it's going to be similar to that. You're going to be able to scroll through a little listing of games, and then wirelessly be able to transfer those demos to your DS and then leave the store and take them with you until you actually turn the system off. Like I said, EB Games, GameStop, Best Buy. Right now, those are the only three that I'm seeing. Now, I don't know who else may be jumping on it, but
actually, I have a list of the games right here that are going to come out in March. If you want me to read them off.
Oh, really? Please do.
Yeah, this was actually from Nintendo Power. Quote the source
great.
here. On the first demo stations, here are the games that we're going to have available: Brain Age, which is very cool. Mario Kart
Perfect.
DS, the Metroid Prime exclusive video. I mean, it won't be a game, but it'll be like what they used to call the rolling demo.
Wow.
Pokemon Traze, True Swing Golf, Tetris Standard Mode, Tetris Push Mode, and Meteos. So
Fantastic.
you'll be able to get any one of those games, demos, for free by just walking into your favorite Nintendo DS store, going up to their little kiosk, telling it which one you want, it'll broadcast right over to you.
Yeah, that's gonna be so cool.
That's way cool, man.
Especially as long as they especially update the demos, every so many months. I don't want to walk into the store and see those same games like a year from now.
Yeah, I mean, Mario Kart's almost not worth it right now because either you've seen it or you've played it.
Right. But you know what? It's such a good game that it deserves to be on there. I mean,
I know.
What the heck, I mean, a lot of people I think are just now. I mean, there's always people. I mean, we've been even getting a lot of emails of people that have been finally jumping off the fence and picking one up. Every day somebody's picking one up, a new system.
That's great. Anything we can do to help the cause, man.
So, I mean, the more the games are available to try beforehand, I think that's fantastic. I mean, there's a lot of games I wish I could have played a demo for.
Like Zoo Tycoon?
Yeah.
Elf Bowling?
Yeah, Elf Bowling. Well, Elf Bowling, I mean, that's kind of one of those games where you judge from the box, the artwork on the box,
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, somebody did that in their garage one night, and that was
That's too bad. Yeah, too bad. Well, let's move along. I got a couple new pieces of Tetris DS news for you. First of all the rumors are pointing that Tetris DS will be a lower cost title, more the budget title. It's not going to be the $34.95 that we've seen from Nintendo first party titles, but rather $29.99. And I've even heard rumor that it's going to be cheaper than that.
Yeah, I think it's going to probably be below that. I think it's going to be the $19.99 rate. I mean, if brain training is going to be $19.99, so there may be some fact in that this might be $19.99 as well. I mean, it is Tetris, and I think they're looking at it from the fact that how many times can people buy Tetris over the years? That game's been available for everything. I mean, even my cell phone version. I remember when I had a cell phone, I bought that for like $7. And it's limited, but it was playable. I mean, and $19.99 seems to be a nice price for the game. It looks like it's going to be fantastic.
We're gonna be talking about Tetris more.
I guarantee every DS owner in the country is most likely going to have this game as part of their.
This will definitely. I think this will have a higher Wi-Fi penetration than Mario Kart does. I mean, easily.
Or even Super Mario 64. I mean,
it's gonna be insane, dude.
It's especially if they bring it down to $19.99.
That's gonna be the sweet spot right there, man.
Sorry,
because let's be honest, there's no real end to this game. You can be playing this game for a year, 2 years afterwards.
Definitely.
There's still people. My wife. You know what? If I were to do it, if I were to go out to the garage and grab the NES and plug it into our big ass TV, I guarantee you within 15 minutes my wife would be playing Tengen Tetris.
Or either that, or I could easily dig it out. And actually, it's funny, when this came out, I was really jonesing to play it again. The old Game Boy Tetris. I mean, it's still a really good little version of the game. And the music alone, like you've said many times on Retro Gaming Radio, the music is basically 80% of the nostalgia, in my opinion.
My wife doesn't even want to play any version other than. I mean, let's be honest. You can play Tetris on a billion platforms, but my wife wants to play the NES version of the Tengen Tetris because of the music. She says herself, this is the music I grew up with, this is the music I love, and this is what I want to play it on. So
exactly. And see, that's the thing. I mean, for me, I played it the most on the old Game Boy. I mean, I used to play that all the time, and we used to link them together in study hall in high school.
And let's be honest, too. I just totally lost my train of thought. I had something. I know what it is. There are new movies floating around every day. Nintendo's finally busting the cork off of these modes.
Oh, it's blowing up.
And there are movies all over the place, and there's a couple of new ones that really blew me away. And so I'm going to give you guys some links to some of these new Tetris movies, so you don't got to go find them on your own. Check out the links mentioned on the show on our website at the download site, and you're going to see tons of different Tetris videos for you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to make sure I got that on before we
weren't
moved
really
on.
interrupting. No, that's fine. I mean, we got to get this information in there, and that's great. We're going to have those links available. There's been so much new screenshots and and videos coming out in the last few weeks.
Yeah, we're going to hook you up.
It's just making you drool even more. There's so many cool little modes that's going on. I still just, just give me the old classic version of Tetris,
Give me 10-player LAN with one single card, and I'm so hooked. I'm so there.
Dude, that alone will hook me. Much less those new modes do look really cool, like the push mode where you're pushing the
dude, I like that catch mode, dude, where you have to actually pick up the whole bunch of blocks and move it while the pieces drop.
Oh, wow.
I'm stoked. Anyway, listen, do you want me to take the next couple, let you take the second to the last one, and then I'll mention that DS website there at the end?
Sure.
Because I think the other two are kind of mine. Just a quick note, we have a lot of UK listeners, and I'm sure you guys already know about this already, but Future Publishing is going to be handling the new official Nintendo magazine over there. Last I heard, there's already an issue out on the shelves, and the response has been fairly positive. So just like the Nintendo of America magazine, Nintendo Power, is apparently, well, I know it's a lot better than the old ones. Apparently this one's going to be of a similar quality. They're trying to step things up, so that's good.
I'm wondering. I wonder if that'll actually be available at Barnes & Noble.
That'd be cool. I would like to take a different slant
check it out.
Because, the UK market and the American market, I sometimes really like the way that they do stuff over there better than here.
Yeah.
The
only problem with the UK magazines I've noticed is, and I've
$12
noticed on the forum. Well, not only that. Yeah, but you know what? The books are bigger in size too.
They are. I like that bigger.
I like that format.
Too.
It's like a big newspaper.
Awesome.
But the one thing that's kind of a drag is a lot of the reviews are really out of date. Not so much in terms of when we're actually getting these issues, but the release schedule in the UK is totally screwed up for a lot of these games.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even have Trauma Center yet.
And I'm not even.
I don't even think they have WarioWare Twisted. So, if we pick this up, most likely we're going to be seeing reviews for those two games, which is kind of always for us since we've been playing not only one of them we've been playing almost a year now, but I mean Trauma Center's been out since October.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So a lot of these UK magazines, I end up buying mostly for the editorials, and not only that, but they have a lot of really good interviews and really. The magazines overall are more mature.
I like the style. I like their style.
Yeah.
It's really nice. I like it.
But they're not catering to the little kids either, for the most part.
Are.
I mean,
that's great. I mean,
it's an older crowd, and I feel like I'm reading something that's really intelligent rather than like GamePro style crap or toilet paper type paper. Yeah. But one other thing that's really cool is the first issue of this magazine. I saw. It looks like they're including like a nice little set of stickers that are actually nice, high-quality vinyl stickers that you can actually put on and peel off really easy.
See, I like that. I like that extra stuff. Yeah. I mean, that may be gay, but I even like these stupid. They have posters in Nintendo Power. I don't know if they used to or not. I don't remember, but they have like these posters. Like I got.
Rub Rabbits is in there now, I think, right?
No. It's this month they have a fold out of Metroid Prime Hunters.
Oh, okay. Well, it must have been last month. There's a Rubber
really
Rabbits one.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I'm actually thinking about tearing it out of the magazine and putting it up at work. I mean, that's gay, but whatever.
Nah.
The other thing, too, that we wanted to mention, Chris mentioned earlier about snagging a copy of Age of Empires because, he thinks it might be short-suited in terms of how many copies are made.
Yeah, I'm not guaranteed on that, but it was hard to find.
It's got that feeling. Because a lot of people got side-saddled. With the whole Phoenix Wright thing. I mean, literally, if you go try to find a copy of Phoenix Wright, go hit eBay. You know what I'm saying? So what I wanted to bring up is apparently Phoenix Wright is getting a reprint, a repress. They're getting a second, I don't know what they call them, second pressing, whatever. So you're going to be able to get Phoenix Wright again if you missed out the first time around.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And that's cool. And I wish I had a source. I'll try to come up with the link. I know I read it. And so I'm going to come up with the link and give it to you just so you guys can see more information. Maybe
we can get that up on the site. That'd be really cool.
We'll get that up on the site for you. We'll take care of you. But, yeah, that was a game that a lot of people are like, oh, man, I wish I'd have got it when I could.
Yeah.
Well, now there's going to be a second pressing. So.
Yeah, real quick, I mean, earlier just to let everybody know that this game is actually not out, once again, getting back to the UK thing, it's not out in the UK yet. This game came out in October in America.
I know, it's unbelievable.
And I picked it up the day it came out, and it was kind of just a goof. I said, what, this looks really cool. I think I'll grab it. I didn't know it was going to be like this. And it is a really neat game. It's really bring back memories of those old Infocom games to a point, those graphic adventure games. But the characters are really what does it for you. You get really caught up in them. The thing I want to mention is in the UK it's not out, but it's coming out at I believe the end of March. So if anything, you can always grab it from one of these import sites.
Yeah, you can import it.
Right. I mean, the thing is though, even the Japanese one has English already built into it, which I think is one of the reasons why it came over here so quickly. It was already translated, with the exception of the title screen. But you figure if you're stuck looking for it in America, you can always take the UK route and grab their copies.
Yeah, I mean, they're importing
won't be
all
able
of
to
our
find
stuff, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Tit for tat.
I mean, I saw that earlier, and it looks like it's going to have a totally different box art. But there you have it,
There you go.
If you're desperate enough, go for it.
Now, I know that this next thing, while it's exciting to you, it's very exciting to me as well. Tell them what's coming out in June, man.
I mentioned it in the last show. At the end of the show, there's a game called Puzzle Loop that used to be out in the arcades. You can play it in MAME nowadays if you're looking to get an idea of what it is. I believe Taito actually makes the game. Now, it looks like they're going to be releasing it in America now. It's coming out in Japan, where I believe it's going by the name Puzzle Loop. But when it comes out to America this June, it's going to be called Magentica, is how I'm going to pronounce it.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. I'm not really 100% positive.
We'll give you a link to one.
Yeah. We'll put some links on there, but it does look like it's going to be coming, and I'm really excited about it. It's basically what Zuma is now. The company that created Zuma, which I think it's PopCap Games, they really kind of took a bad turn there. I mean, it's a really really senseless clone of what this game was. It's really a shame. Zuma's a good game on its own, but Puzzle Loop came first, and it's kind of sad seeing how they blatantly ripped the game off, and now everybody's like, wow, Zuma, this is a great game, how original. And the game's been around for almost 10 years already as Puzzle Loop. Unfortunately, it's been a little restricted because it's only been available in arcades, and when was the last time you've seen a Puzzle Loop in the arcades? I know I haven't. But it's nice to know this will be coming out in June here. I mean, in my opinion, the DS, one of the key things that this system has going for are these fantastic puzzle games.
Oh yeah, and that's a natural for the DS. Dude.
And then you figure by June, let's see, Tetris DS is March 20th, so maybe by June I'll be a little bit worn off by Tetris DS to give this a try.
Yeah, let's hope.
So we'll see what happens, but I just wanted to bring that up since I mentioned in the last show that it does look like it's going to get an American release, which probably means it'll end up in the UK at some point, maybe sometime next year at this point.
You never know; they might get it first.
Yeah, look what they did with
every now and then.
Like True Swing Golf.
They got True Swing Golf first.
They trumped us there.
That? Yeah. Well, the last thing in our Touch and Go column this month is we've been working on trying to build relationships because let's be honest, networking it's all about who you know. And in the internet radio, not podcasting, in the internet radio business, it really helps out to have a good working relationship with websites that are along the same topic lines as what you have. So we've been trying to build alliances with Nintendo DS sites because there's quite a few really decent sites out there.
Yeah,
there's a lot of schlock. But there's a lot of
wait for the good stuff, and we're going to stick with the good stuff.
And we're going to stick,
Yeah, we've been keeping up on who they are, who the good guys are, who gets
the scoops first. And a lot of people say, well, yeah, God, where do you guys get this information? I mean, I didn't even hear about this. Well, we frequent a site called DSX2. They used to be called something else, and I've been with them for a while, and I can't remember what they used to be called, but it doesn't really matter now because they're not called that anymore. There's some fight over the name or something. I don't remember. But anyway,
let me just correct you there. If you're looking for this site, it's actually DS-X2.com.
Yeah, I was going to provide them a link.
The links will be on the site.
Yeah, I'm assuming that they just call themselves DSX2 and DSX2.com was taken at one point. But good to bring up in case somebody just started randomly typing stuff. They'll probably bring up a porn site or something if you don't put the dash.
Exactly.
DS porno. But you know what I'm talking about.
That's to input.
That's the input the porno. SCSI hard drive, $3.99.
Yeah.
I remember to tell you a joke about that sometime about the SCSI hard drives. But anyway, so ds-x2.com is the place that I frequent the most. In fact, on my own personal homepage on Google, I have its RSS feed right planted firmly in the first position, and that's where I go to. And those guys get some good news. And recently, they contacted us actually to become some sort of an official affiliate with them, and we're really looking to do that. And I think that that it's a good marriage. Those guys are pretty much what I would consider the best news on the net, and I'm hoping that we're the best DS show on the net. So I'm hoping that we can make that marriage happen. If nothing else, it's a good time to give them a plug because they've plugged for us, and we like to return the favor. So.
Yeah, and it's just overall, like you said, it's a good site.
Good site.
I frequent it all the time too.
I love it.
Good stuff.
So, that's about it for Touch and Go, folks. We have just a couple more things before we kill the show off here. It's already been 3 hours. You got plenty of show.
I don't think people are going to complain.
No one's going to complain.
Everybody seems to hate when it ends.
The big, yeah, except for us. We get to go get a drink of water.
Yeah.
But the big things that we're working on now are trying to get the support services for this show. I mean, obviously, Chris and myself, we can pump these shows out. We keep our own list of stuff. But what a lot of people are asking for are the customer service elements of running a show like this. Those of you who've been at the Retro Radio site, who've been Retro Gaming Radio listeners for a while, you already know that we offer quite a bit of service in terms of mailing lists and forums, being able to look up archived shows, getting links from the show. This is something that we haven't had the last two shows here. So we've been doing a lot of customer service stuff. And so what I've decided to do is take some of my very little free time and start cloning some of the Retro Gaming Radio features and bringing them over here. And, it makes good sense. We already have the code. The code belongs to me. And it makes good sense to move that stuff over. RSS feeds, you're going to be able to get our news and information via RSS. You won't need to be on the mailing list if you don't want to be.
That's really cool.
We now have a forum area set up. It piggybacks on MonroeWorld.com forums, which is the forums that Retro Gaming Radio shares along with some other stuff. And we're enhancing the ability for you to search our archives, to be able to see products that were represented in the show, and as well as being able to, for Chris and myself, to post news directly from the web. So when Chris is stuck at work and he wants to give you guys a little piece of salacious info he's happened across, that he can jump onto the website, hit our admin area, and be able to have some news posted. Myself the same way, be able to go in and edit a show if there was a problem with it. So all of these features are going to become available, and the site itself right now, by the time you hear this show, all of the bugs should be pretty much ironed out. But we've added a lot of new stuff to the website, and it's all pretty much because you guys said you wanted it. So we're looking to give you that sort of support.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, like you said earlier in the show, we've been getting a lot of nice feedback, and a lot of people are liking the little subtle changes we're making. We're getting some kind of a refinement to what we're talking about in our little departments, and and everything's going to, it changes every week, I think, to a point. We're going to have little things here and there. I know next week, like I said, I'm going to be looking forward to maybe discussing another import game. A lot of people have been interested in us getting into the import scene, so I'm going to try to satisfy that side of the world of the DS by bringing some import stuff into it. So I'll surprise you with something next week. Yeah.
So very good. Well, I guess we are going to wrap it up. Hey, man, this has been a great show. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Again, send your feedback. Every show has a dedicated forum topic devoted to it. And if you go to the download page, just in case you're listening to this off one of the mirror sites, if you go to the download page for this show, you will see a link that says discuss this on our forums. That will take you directly to the forums, right into the message that is dedicated to this show. So we would love to hear your feedback, good or bad. We read every email. We respond to every email, even the ones that don't make sense, which we do tend to get. Crazy talk. But do drop into the forums. Let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what sort of things you might like to see in future episodes. Just come back and give us some feedback, because we can't grow unless we have that input.
Exactly. I love reading all the mail too. It's great.
Good stuff.
Fantastic.
Good stuff. Yeah. Well, I guess that'll wrap it up for this edition of Dual Screen Radio.
Hope you had a good time.
Yeah, we hope you had a good time. My name's Shane Monroe.
And this is Chris Hetschel.
And remember, listening is good.
It certainly is.